And to that piece of lieutenant that's always on his podcast, bash us, him.
Attention to roll call.
That's right. Good morning, everybody. 8:05 live Eastern time. We're back. It's Monday morning. I hope everyone had a great Merry Christmas. Getting close to the new year, but we're still rocking over here to Find Some Filter. Thank you, everyone. The chat, still see a lot of engagement. We appreciate it. You're a big part of the growth of this network here. We're over 70,000 now. Thank you to everyone. So, as always, content just continues with a centric focus on New York City, especially the NYPD, politics, and everything surrounding, and nationwide with law enforcement. How are former uniformed NYPD employees contributing to a uniformed police pension fund? A uniformed police pension fund. Think about that. So how are NYPD, how are civilian employees? I think that's really a great question. How are civilian employees who were former uniformed members, excuse me, transition to civilian members, how are they still contributing to a police pension fund, which is for uniformed only? Let's get into this topic. There's been some semantics, controversial debate and discussion over law. We have not heard a response from the city yet on this topic, something that we explored over a year ago on this network, where we did a podcast talking about Kaz Daughtry's promotion, whether he was still a uniformed detective holding a title, or was he actually a civilian, and would he still be contributing to the pension? Those were questions we raised, and now we know the answers. So let's excuse me, let's jump into this. Let's get to it. Good morning, guys.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting few weeks. I mean, the topic's been coming up because we've been seeing former NYPD employees working for different agencies submitting for retirement through the NYPD, right? Submitting for an NYPD pension. So raises a lot of eyebrows, rightfully it should. It's like, how is the department, the commissioner of probation, retiring from the NYPD? How is she retiring from the NYPD as a chief if she was the commissioner of probation? How is a deputy mayor retiring from the NYPD? And what are they retiring as? How is somebody that hasn't worked for the NYPD in 10 years, the commissioner of DCAS, retiring from the NYPD? You know, these are all fair, relevant questions, right? The situations are all different when you look at each person. Each person is in a very unique situation. Like when you look at a guy like Mark Stewart, right? Mark Stewart was a detective a long time ago. He became, for the NYPD, he became a deputy commissioner for community affairs under Eric Adams. Eric Adams named that. Now he works for the NYPD, right? But then when he goes to retire, he gets a 3/4 pension for his previous time served as a uniformed member of service. However, he has his current base pay from when he was a deputy commissioner. So raises a lot of eyebrows, right? Like, where does that come from? How do things like that happen? And I think when we look at all of this, we have to go through each person specifically. Now, we've had a lot of people over these last couple of weeks, dozens of people speak for New York City, speak for the pension section, speak for the NYPD, who are completely unwilling to. And I think every time somebody comes at us with that, it just makes me raise my eyebrow even more at their wants and desires and what they're really attempting to line themselves with this platform over. Why are you speaking for New York City who's unwilling to speak for themselves? How does that happen? Right? Because ultimately, we're asking questions and not getting answers. So what should we think? Should we think, oh, no, this is all good? This is all good. So recently we had attorney Eric Sanders and former Lieutenant Joel Ramirez, who both have appeared on this platform numerous times, come out and attempt to debunk what we're saying. And they threw in there a law, and they're saying that everything that's occurring, everything that you're seeing is all good because this law says so. And we're going to go through that law and we're going to see if that's what happens. And then after, you know, we kind of went through that online. We're going to go through it online today again, because I think we have to really get through the nitty gritty, because there's a lot of people that come on this platform and that now are attempting to shit where they eat, right? So as of now, Eric Sanders is no longer allowed on this platform unless he comes on here, sits down with us, and tells us how we're racist for pointing this out and where we're wrong, and openly debate the points that he raised about the law that makes absolutely no sense as to what he's claiming it does. He's playing the same legal gymnastics that he accuses the NYPD of doing. So this is a free speech platform, but you're not going to shit all over us, use us as free advertising, and go out there and demonize us and say that what we're doing is biased. It's because of it's only black executives. Because that's a bunch of bullshit, because we call out black executives, we call out white executives, right? So I don't know what you guys want to say, that we're a biased platform, we're not fact-based. Nah, this is fucking fact-based analysis, and we're going to go through the facts right now, and we're going to break down that law, and we're going to see just how good a former lieutenant and a current attorney read the law. I think that's fair, right? Oh, and by the way, you guys, again, were welcome to debate, but nobody wanted to come on, shockingly. Weird.
Yeah. Morning, guys. Morning, chat. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Yeah, it's been kind of crazy these last 2 days, 2 or 3 days. I gotta say, I don't understand where all of this is coming from. I don't, because we've been talking about this for how long now, about Kaz, like Kaz's, where does he stand when it comes to the pension? The fact that the city's been doing a hell of a lot of gymnastics when it comes to like what exactly Kaz's role is, and whether he's been a uniform or a civilian. And now we've come to a place where, like we said before, we were headed to. And, Eric and John talked about this like probably going on 2 years now when they first brought this up. And here we are at the point where it's natural conclusion, where it's time for them to leave government, and they're trying to walk away with the same pen, with they're trying to walk out the door with the vault, when we've already talked about the impropriety of what's going on. So I like Eric Sanders, but I gotta say, I don't know where he's coming from on this, like where, like I just do not understand it, because the city's doing the same mental gymnastics that they use against him and use against cops. We've talked about it before with the psychological exam, and with the state law that the city is trying to manipulate and use as reasoning for not having licensed psychologists. So I'm really at a loss to understanding what's happening here, and I disagree with it myself. We all disagree with it, because it's these people are manipulating the system, and they're trying to rob the city's coffers as they walk out the door, and it's just not fair.
So this is a great discussion. And here's another reason why it's a great discussion. So John and myself, and I believe it was Sal also, I'm not sure, I have to look back. But we did an episode over a year ago where we actually discussed Kaz Daughtry's promotion. And we raised questions, right? At the time, no one, no one referred to this specific law, or actually any law. No one could give us any literature when we asked questions. And that's what we do. We raised questions. And the question was, Kaz Daughtry, as a uniform member, did he retire to become a civilian member? Does he go into a new pension tier, a new pension system? Or was he still a uniform member wearing the title of a civilian member for protective measures, right? And you may say, what are these protective measures? Excuse me. So for one, he pled guilty to either misleading or intentional lying statements, right? So his credibility was lost within the police department. And then he had civilian complaints that were still hanging over him, but those civilian complaints magically disappeared once he transitioned into the title of deputy commissioner within the NYPD. So the other question is, if that was the case, that there's no issues, why wasn't this law proposed or a topic of conversation back then? And because we raised numerous questions, and when it comes to Eric Sanders, he's been on this network a long period of time, and he himself never responded back then, and we've constantly have raised the question, especially when it came to Kes Daughtry. Now, I've broken down the law, and I'm looking at it right now because constantly I've been back and forth with this, and this is what the statute that everyone's been referring to. It's statute 645 when it comes to employment retirement system. And what it actually says in real world terms. Now, I wrote some stuff down. If you were once a member of a New York public pension, you left before retiring and later came back into public service, the law may allow you to restore your original membership date and tier. So what that means is something conversation has been coming up. So you would be entitled to rights and privileges that you had before. This is if you left before retiring. So what that means is you would be entitled to your rights and privileges of that pension. Similar if you left to the military extended leave desk. If you left for 5 years, you're entitled to that pension, right? If you left at year 14, you come back at year 19, you didn't pay into that contribution. But coming back for the military, you have a right to buy back into that pension system. But it doesn't happen, excuse me, automatically. You have to apply for that, and it has to be accepted. And if you took your pension contributions when you left, you don't just put them back. You have to repay them with 5% interest compounded every single year. So let's think about someone like Mark Stewart, who left for about 20 years. What would the cost of that be with 5% interest compounded every single year? I mean, unless you're a millionaire, I don't think that's something that you're going to be able to pay back. Now, that means if you did not retire. Now, if you retire, in my opinion, based on what I read, because, and the reason why I say in my opinion, because we've had conversations going back and forth where we're interpreting language. Restoration does not qualify if you retire. You can only retire once with a uniform pension. And keep in mind, it's a uniform pension only. So, and there is a difference between the NYSERS, which is a New York state retirement system, in comparison to the police pension fund, where the police pension fund is its own entity. It's the same thing for fire. And the takeaway is simple. If you ever left public service and you come back and you think about retiring, you need to understand this does not lock you in. You have to apply for it. It does not apply when you retire. You cannot retire with a uniform pension based on what I've read, according to 645, become a civilian employee, and then retire again as a uniform member. You retired already. What are your thoughts, John?
So, all right. So let's go through what Sanders says about the law first, because I think it's important to read what is being alleged, right? He says, there is widespread confusion, some of it willful. So he's saying we're intentionally lying, right? About what the 1999 Amendment Retirement and Social Security Law 645 actually does. So let's be precise. RSSL 645 governs only one thing: restoration of membership date for public employees who lawfully re-enter public service after prior membership has ceased. The 1999 Amendment did not create a new benefit. It expanded the coverage of an existing 1998 statute, so it would apply uniformly across state and city retirement, including NYSERS, Police Pension Fund, FD&Y Fund, state and local police and fire systems, teacher retirement systems, and BEARS. What the law allows. If the person was previously a member of a New York public retirement system, left service, later rejoined public service, they may apply to be restored to their original date of membership. Not extra service time, not a bonus, not a windfall. What the law requires: an affirmative application, repayment of withdrawn contributions with 5% interest, if applicable, no restoration for retirees, no free service credit, no automatic reinstatement. What the law does not do: it does not waive contributions. It does not forgive time not worked. It does not create special treatment. It does not violate ethics laws. It does not depend on race, title, or politics. The city opposed the amendment in 1999 for budgetary reasons, not because it was unlawful. The legislature passed it anyway. The statute has been on the books for 25 years. Invoking RSSL 645 is not a loophole. It's not misconduct. It's not DEI. I don't know why he's so obsessed with race, but I mean, obviously there is an obsession on his part with race. It is compliance with a duly enacted law. Before alleging impropriety, start with the statute, then the legislative history. Anything else is narrative, not investigation, right? And so what he claims here, if you look at his thing, is narrative and BS and racial bias. Public official of color, bias dressed as investigation, lawful conduct reframed as suspect, DEI characters, guilt by association. Is the real discomfort legal or racial? And he attempts to paint this law, RSSL 645, as the reason that people could just come back into public service or from a separate agency contribute to or not contribute to and still receive a police pension. So RSS 645 has absolutely nothing to do with that. RSS 645, all that law does is it protects your tier and it protects the year you started and those years you served if you did not previously retire. So for people like Louis Molina, RSSL 645 make absolutely no sense. If Jerry Garcia from the Office of the Nightlife, who retired years ago, decides that now he's going to also get a police pension, doesn't apply to him as well. None of this has to do with police pension. The only thing this has to do is say, well, if I did 4 years in sanitation and then I left and then I become a teacher or I become a cop, I didn't lose my 4 years and I don't start at that new tier. When I re-enter city service, I still have my 4 years that I did, and I'm still in my same tier. That's all it does. So, I mean, legal spin, I say absolutely this is a legal spin. Clearly states it does not apply to retired members. Now, when you look at people like Juanita Holmes, who never actually officially retired, and why she didn't, I don't know. When you look at people like Kaz Daughtry, who never officially retired from the NYPD, why he has it, I don't know, right? RSSL 645 does not cover any of that. And by the way, you know, we see there's going to be a lot of stuff over the next few days that's going to come out. They're going to point to military extended leave desk. They're going to point to some administrative code that we're going to get through. So we're going to tell you actually who could stay in the pension system. Again, being misinterpreted by other people that are claiming that they have all the answers, but yet this is the law they came up with. This is the legal gymnastics they're coming up with. So yeah, when we talk about, so it's fair to say, like, I'm not lumping these people in, and no one on this platform is lumping anyone in based upon the color of their skin. All of these people are in different situations and different scenarios, and there's loopholes. And I don't even think they're loopholes. I think this is making the law try to work for you, attempt to bend the rules for you. RSSL 645 has absolutely nothing to do with this argument. I don't know why this was brought in. I don't know what we're even talking about here. But has clearly nothing to do with racial bias either, but apparently it does, you know? And I don't know. I don't know why anybody would come on an openly racist platform that pushes BS racial narratives. I don't know. Marlon, why are you here? Like, should you be on a platform that's that's racist? I'm like,
according to Juju, Marlon is what's his name? Gibby? What's that guy's name? The guy that thinks he's white?
Whatever.
Nah,
Whatever.
You got me on that one, Eric.
But what
I forgot what his name was. Juju always puts it up.
What do you think about this law though? 645, Marlon.
Well, I thought the eligibility for 645 was members who their previous membership ceased due to insufficient service credit. Meaning they didn't reach retirement.
Exactly.
They didn't retire.
Exactly. Like you only did 4 years. You didn't get to a part where you vested or where you hit full retirement.
Yeah.
Once you leave, RSS 645 has nothing to do with you. So this doesn't cover Sheriff Miranda. This doesn't cover Garcia. Certainly doesn't cover Luis Molina. Doesn't cover anyone. Doesn't cover Mark Stewart either. Mark Stewart's covered under a different law. And he's about the only one that I think is covered in this whole thing.
Yeah. And a few primers before we continue, right? I think it's important to understand here, right, that we talked about it the last episode, that in a lot of ways some of this twisting of the law so that guys could enrich their pension might have gone on for a while. Okay. From time to time we see articles where the comptroller reviews the pension section and sees that they find irregularities in people who are receiving kind of larger pensions, maybe from double dipping, so this might have happened before, but I think that's important to understand because again there's a phrase that Adams and his cronies love using, and that phrase is it's our time. It's basically it's our turn. Okay. And I think we need to understand that because what I think is happening here is basically them feeling that this has happened before, so we're in charge now, so it's our turn to walk out the door with the city's coffers. Okay. And we've talked about this a couple episodes before also, right? DEI is a term. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is a term that's very undefined, and I think it allows, like, it gives politicians a way out to kind of put their cronies in and to say, oh, look, we're just bringing equity to the city. It allows them to do a lot of other things, like put austerity measures in government and to say, oh, you know what, we're just trying to equal the playing field for everybody. So DEI is a term that's kind of there's kind of really no meaning to it, and it allows a lot of room for these politicians to manipulate things. The reason I'm saying this because I would say this is more cronyism, okay? Whereas Eric Sanders is bringing up DEI, I'm gonna say it's cronyism here. And we've said this before, how many of Eric Adams' people are not qualified for those positions. We don't care if they were black, purple, or whatever. Okay, that's not the point. The point is that they're his friends and they're unqualified, and he put them there because they're his friends and he's close to them. Okay, and this is all important to understand what's happening right now with what appears to be a clear manipulation of obscure laws so that they can enrich themselves.
Of course, Juju's in the chat. So he put it was Clayton Bigsby, which I think is good. It's funny we talk about racism, but we have racist comments in this chat as we speak because Clayton Bigsby is a fictional character from Dave Chappelle that's supposed to be a black man that's blind who thinks he's a white man. It's funny. That's why I brought it up. But that's racist in itself every time Juju actually refers to Marlon as Clayton Bigsby. Now, what's interesting about the Eric Adams administration is Eric Adams' administration always referred to the administration as being, we're going to have more chocolate. And I believe that DEI was a cover for cronyism and nepotism with the Eric Adams administration. He utilized the platform of DEI. And so what is DEI? I had a good conversation with someone yesterday, and The question was, what is DEI? Now, I believe there's a difference between DEI, affirmative action, and cronyism, nepotism. Now, if two people are competing for a position and they both have the same qualities and traits, and one person gets that position because of leverage, because of their color or skin or gender, race, to me, that's affirmative action. That's not DEI. What is DEI? DEI is when an organization or a workforce, something like the NYPD or any law enforcement agency, makes specific hires based on race, gender, appearance, sexual orientation, things like that, just to create diversity. It has nothing to do with qualifications. Now, when we talk about cronyism and nepotism, this is what's happening here. We even said it, John and myself. We did an episode about Kaz Daughtry. I want to say it was about 2 years ago. Maybe it's more than 2 years now, when Kaz Daughtry started to get promoted by Rocket Fuel. And I think we were very explicit and give a fair assessment, said we don't think this has anything to do with DEI or affirmative action, that his promotion was based solely on nepotism and cronyism. That's what's happening here. I agree with Maul in saying that it's their time, and when I say there, this administration is abusing and misrepresenting. It's a misrepresentation of language, because listen, I was a history major in college, and one thing you do in history, which is a preface for law, that was my intention, to go to law school myself. I never did. But history teaches you to break things down and actually dissect it and use comparisons to create standards, and also to either you come out with two results. Either you come out with theory or evidence when it comes to history. And so based on what I read, and I wrote it here also, and this is plain and simple, according to this law that we've been referring to here, which is 645, once someone retires from uniformed NYPD service, I want to repeat that. Once someone retires uniformed service, their membership in the New York City Police Pension Fund is closed permanently. You get one police pension. You do not get a second NYPD police pension just because you later work for the city in a civilian or appointed role. Now, I usually don't like to read from things, but I wrote this down yesterday because there's just so much information dissecting this law. And obviously, there's going to be opposition and debate going further. So I'd like to have my evidence and proof. Police pensions are based on membership, not titles. The NYPD Police Pension Fund is for uniformed members only. Memberships exist only while you are a uniformed member. Once you retire, that membership ends. A later civilian job, even a high-level one, such as some of the high-level ones we've seen, does not reopen police pension membership. And that is the meat. That's what we've been trying to say. Retiring from a uniformed member, becoming a civilian within NYPD employees or an outside agency such as sanitation does not qualify you for another uniform pension. This law is being completely manipulated, and it's a misuse and abuse of language. John.
No, I mean, listen, the thing that really annoys me is I don't like being called a racist. And Pat, we never had a union with Eric Sanders, Esquire. Eric Sanders is Sal's lawyer. That's it. People call us all the time, ask for advices, ask for, who should we call? I say Eric Sanders, Serena Townsend, John Scola. I don't recommend lawyers. The only lawyer I'll ever recommend is Jimmy Wagner. I like Serena. I like John, but I don't know them personally. I don't never use them, so I can't comment on them. But when it comes to NYPD matters, I recommend them. I will no longer be recommending Eric Sanders after what went down. I will no longer be doing that. And so, again, it was just curious. The whole timing of it is ridiculous. Where were you guys 2 years ago? I'd like to know where you were, Joel, 2 years ago. You know, you come out in a coordinated effort against myself, Eric, and Marlon, and this platform and what we're putting out, and you state in law, and you're telling everybody why it's legal, but yet you're telling me, well, you're unwilling to debate it and we should have an attorney look at it. Well, we had an attorney look at it and he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about either, right? So let's go through Joel's tweet, right? Let's go through Joel's tweet. This comes out after, and by the way, we're going to get to why this came out too. And that's another thing. And I'm not an idiot. I know the two names that we started talking about, and all of a sudden you guys woke up and got butthurt and now decided you're going to attack us and try to paint us as racists and paint us as spreading misinformation. You were going to debunk us, and you wanted to speak for the city of New York, Joel. So now you're speaking for them. NYPD news. It's come out of Joel Ramirez, retired NYPD lieutenant, also known as Lieutenant Douchebag. Several individuals were appointed as a commissioner or deputy commissioner during the Adams administration. However, it's important to recognize that this practice has been in place for quite some time, dating back to the policies established by the he didn't write that, by Mayor Giuliani in 1998 and approved by Governor Pataki. This raises important questions about the legitimacy of these practices and how many individuals have benefited from similar arrangements in previous administrations. We fucking know that, and we said that, didn't we? Didn't we? But we weren't around in 1999, were we? No, we weren't, right? It's essential to clarify that this situation should not be viewed as a pension scandal, but rather a continuation of actions by white men. Oh, wait, you didn't write that, Joel. Sorry. Taken by past government officials. The individuals involved, Louis Molina, Juanita Holmes, 3/4 disability, Mark Stewart, 3/4 disability, Kaz Daughtry, Tim Pearson, Lamona Knight, Philip Banks, Anthony Miranda. This is why it's legal. So just for clarification, everyone on here is in a completely different situation. And not one of them does this rule apply to. Not one of them. But this is why it's legal, Joel. Let's go through why you say it's legal. Memorandum on restoration under RSSL 645. Purpose explains the right to restore membership under retirement and Social Security law. Eligibility. Former members of New York Public Retirement System can regain their original membership date and tier status upon returning to eligible public service. Exactly. That's what it is. Former members, not retired members, people who didn't get to their pension tier, didn't retire. So it doesn't apply to Philip Banks. It doesn't apply to Timothy Pearson. It doesn't apply to Anthony Miranda. It doesn't apply to Mark Stewart. It doesn't apply to Juanita Holmes. It doesn't apply to Louis Molina. And it doesn't apply to Kaz Daughtry. The law literally doesn't apply to any of them. And then yet right after this, Eric Sanders put his post out on how it's biased and not investigation. Right? So clear as day, I'm not an idiot. I see what the hell's happening. I see exactly what you guys want to do. You want to discredit us and call us racist, but you're unwilling to come on here. You're unwilling to come on here and debate about it because you're fucking full of shit and you're the one spinning the narrative. That's why.
Yeah, I saw a comment on here from William Robert Nolan about Frank Serpico and the 3/4, and I that's very interesting, William. I did not know that, but yeah, as we said before, that first of all, Frank Serpico's situation is kind of different because again, he was shot in the face. Okay, but well, we've said before that this might have happened before, but we didn't exist back then, we didn't exist back then to point out the improprieties of what happened, okay? But we exist now, okay? And we're pointing out what we see, what's in our face right now about what's going on. And as John pointed out, none of the 645 doesn't apply to any of these people, okay? All right, and it's what's happening is completely inappropriate. Okay, and it's just because we have to come to an agreement that what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, and regardless of whoever's doing it, okay, whatever their ethnicity is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's right is right and wrong is wrong. Okay. And it's wrong that you have people here who are manipulating the system to benefit themselves, regardless of who conducted it way back when. Again, we can't take a time machine and go back and rewrite history, but we can take action on what's happening in front of our eyes right now, and we could point out what's wrong with what's happening right now.
So again, that law was sent to me 645. Joel actually sent me that the law, and we had a great conversation about it. And I said, I'm open to having a debate about this publicly. John and myself would love to have a debate with Eric and Joel talking about this, and we come to a lot of agreement in this. But I think that this is being completely manipulated in language. Again, here's more notes that I wrote down. I want you to listen to this. Now, I just spoke about the uniform members, right? So let's talk about when someone actually has that civilian job. So civilian New York City jobs are covered by different retirement systems, right? I told you that before. You have New York State Employment Retirement System, and you have uniform pension, right? Now, when it comes to Eric Sanders, I saw some of the jabs he put. And, with my life experience, I don't get emotionally invested when it comes to his jabs, but I read them because you have to ask yourself, why are we getting to that point? We have given pretty much an open welcome mat for Eric Sanders, John Scola, and Serena Townsend. I mean, I get calls constantly from cops. Hey, I'm going to call Eric Sanders. I saw him on your platform. I'm going to call Serena. I'm going to call John. And John and I can say this is Marlon and Sal. We haven't asked anyone for a dime. We've never asked Eric Sanders, Serena, or John Scola. No, especially Eric. We never asked for a dime when they come on this platform. We never asked for any advertisement. If anyone thinks that they're here giving us paid advertisement, not at all. And we know for a fact there have been numerous cops and people outside the police department that have been in contact with Eric and Serena and John because they saw him on this platform. And we're happy to do that. But yet now we're being bashed and we're getting jabs for misinformation. I think that's completely wrong.
Don't forget we're fucking racist too, and let's not pretend that we don't get called racist over and over again. Joel's saying I'm making it a race thing. What's my obsession with race? What's your obsession with race? You and Eric Sanders. What the fuck did race have to do with any of it? Right? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But you want to throw it in there, right?
So let's get the facts here.
Rudy Giuliani. I'm not a fucking idiot. I could read between the lines.
Let's get
You're
the
the
facts
one that made it about race, and I ain't fucking backing down from it either. I don't give a fuck.
When a retired cop comes back as a civilian New York City employee, they are typically covered by NYCERS. Now, people have to understand there's a difference between NYCERS and New York City Police Pension Fund is its own entity. NYCERS is New York State Employment Retirement System. That's for civilians. Another non-public retirement system. That civilian service does not count towards police pension service. It does not generate police pension credit. It does not create eligibility for a second NYPD retirement. Our SSL 645 does not change this. This is where people get confused. These are my notes here. So, Eric, if you want to challenge this, these are my notes based on the same law that we both have read. I do not have a law degree. I do have a history degree, and this is what I have dissected here. This is where people get confused. RSSL 645 restoration of membership applies only to former members whose membership ceased before retirement. I want to say that again. Applies only to former members whose membership ceased before retirement. Explicitly excludes retirees. Restores membership date and tier, not police status. Again, restores membership date and tier, not police status. Once you retire as a cop, 645 is off the table. Now, this is what I've written based on what I've read. And so I'm asking Eric if you could challenge that and tell me where I'm wrong. Again, I don't have a law degree. I do have a bachelor's in history. I have dissected information. I spent 20 years a cop, dissected information and doing investigations based on evidence, not based on race, not based on bias. So I'm always willing to have a healthy debate, but to call us racist, where does that come from? Or if there's any indications that we're talking about DI. We're not talking about DI at all. This is about cronyism, nepotism, and mislanguage and abuse of a law. I mean, I've read it. This is the notes. If my notes are wrong, I'll say I'm wrong, but I don't see it. Once you retire, that's it. The door closes, the door's shut. How do you re-enter into this uniform pension as a civilian? It doesn't make sense. This is what I've gathered from 645. John, what are your thoughts on that?
No, so you sound like a racist to me. I don't know. It sounds racist. It sounds like you're solely obsessed with just black executives. It sounds like you're not the one that only cares about Jessica Tish and Richie Taylor. It sounds like you're not that person. It sounds like you're not. You know, it doesn't sound like you're the guy that actually calls out every fucking body, regardless of the race. All the grifters in that have turned public safety into a grift and a graft. Right now, all of a sudden, we want to speak for the New York City Police Department. Why do we want to speak for the New York City Police Department, Joel, Eric? Why? Why? Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Let's time this. What happened? Let's see. So, we had done the episode and we talked about Louis Molina, how Louis Molina retired over 10 years ago from the NYPD. So RSSL doesn't apply to him. He left the NYPD in 2013. He came back as a deputy commissioner of corrections, then became an assistant commissioner, assistant deputy mayor of public safety. Never worked for the NYPD, then became the commissioner of DCAS. He has no rights or claims to the
John, you forgot one thing.
system.
He left for Vegas too.
Yeah, no, don't see. You hear the racism, right? You hear the bias.
That's a racist remark.
Not only was he not even in New York, he wasn't even he was in Vegas. You know, how's that for the? So there was that, and then here's Juanita Holmes. Did she retire from the NYPD? No. Why is she the deputy commissioner of probation? Look at the title in this episode: one-on-one with the probation commissioner. One-on-one. Let's see it. Let's see what has to be said.
Wait, John, she's a black female. Not only is this racist, this is sexist.
Only if this was Jessica Tish could we say anything. Only if this was Richie Taylor. We're the ones obsessed with race? Where are we the ones saying that a 1.5 mile run is racist? Are we the ones?
Well, now this is racist and sexist, John. We just went to another realm.
So does this make sense to anybody? We're asking the questions. The pension fund's not responding. The NYPD is not responding. The mayor's office isn't responding. Joel Ramirez and Eric Sanders are responding. So they're your officials. So if you have any questions, call them. Right? Because I don't know. Because look at Dean Memich's face. He doesn't even know what's going on here. One-on-one with the probation commissioner who's now retiring from the NYPD. Right? But FYI, she already has a lucrative pension from the NYPD. Why does she need the extra 2 years? And if she's entitled to it, show us the law, because it certainly isn't RSSL.
Yeah, I just read it to you. I just read my notes of 645. Clear as day, she retired already. But even more,
she didn't retire. That's the whole thing. She never put in for her retirement because they're putting them on this leave. And where does it say they could do that? Right?
Oh, well,
we haven't got there yet because it's too early in the week. It's too early in the week. We haven't got there yet. We haven't played those legal gymnastics. Well, no. Technically, if you take RSSL and then you take the military extended leave desk and then you take the admin code and you put them all together, then you get that, this is all good and you guys are just a bunch of racists.
This sounds like a concoction. We're mixing different ingredients together. But I'm telling you right now, and I'm a man of my word. I'm calling the pension section today, right after this podcast, and I'm going to tell them that I've been out for 3 years working with Defiance Unfiltered. I would like to come back as a deputy commissioner. Can I get an enhanced pension? I want to know if that is good time and will I get a second pension? I want to see what they say.
If you come back as per the law, if you come back as the police commissioner, and again, the law is not RSSL. So just for those in the legal field, right? As per the administrative code that governs our pensions, if you're the police commissioner or you're a deputy police commissioner, meaning you work for the NYPD, you could reopen your pension. Those are the only people.
Correct.
Not the Department of Commissioner, Probation, not DCAS, not the nightlife, not the sheriff, not a deputy mayor. Those are the only people. And RSSL has absolutely nothing to do with that.
I want to come back as the deputy mayor, just like Kaz, and I want to make content on YouTube, and I want to get a second pension.
Doesn't apply. Deputy mayor doesn't apply. Deputy police commissioner, and deputy police commissioner. So Tanya Kinsella is covered. Mark Stewart, his 3/4 is very questionable to me how it goes on to his current salary and not what it was. But I guess if you open up your pension, maybe that's good. I don't know, because nobody's responding, right? We're just getting called racist. But I see he worked for the NYPD. He was a deputy police commissioner technically. Tanya Kinsella, deputy police commissioner technically. Tariq Shepard, when he was, before they told him and they gave him the demotion, was a deputy police commissioner. So it applied to them. Kaz Daughtry, for a short window, when he was a deputy commissioner, because when he was an assistant commissioner, didn't jive. Doesn't jive with the law. You know, listen to this interview, 101. So we put this out, and then all of a sudden, we're racist. I don't know. It's weird. We've been talking about this for 2 years, but we put this out, and all of a sudden we're racist.
But let's be clear. You are the commissioner for probation, but currently you are retiring from the NYPD. So you kept your title as chief while becoming the probation commissioner.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
So you're retiring, almost 40 years in law enforcement overall. But let's be clear.
Oh, so you just kept your title, and then I'm like, wait, what the hell? When did we become the bad guys? I don't know. Like, why are we the bad guys? Like, why all of a sudden?
Because research and investigations racist and biased, John. Don't you know that?
No, really. I'll tell you what happened. Obviously, like I said originally when we talked about Melina, a lot of people like Melina, and I know a lot of people like Juanita Holmes, and I don't think Juanita Holmes is a bad person. But I just want to know. We just want to know. What is it? How is it possible? Because I don't see it anywhere. No one sees it anywhere. But yet we're racist if we point out that people are retiring from the NYPD that aren't in the NYPD. And how is it possible? And we keep asking for the law, and no one gives the law. No one gives the law.
Let's go to the videotape.
So now I know why we were attacked as after putting this out. It was okay to attack everybody else, just not. It was okay to ask questions about everyone else, but there's certain people we can't ask questions about. If it was Jessica Tisch, we could ask any question. We could throw any accusations at her because hey, she's just a white Jewish female, so it's okay, right? But if we ask her questions about anything, it's because it's DEI and it's biased.
John,
so,
you covered.
Do
I'm
the
Jewish. I can
projects
say something.
and chase the guy up the stairs and Edgerton houses and quarter him and handcuff him. That's one time. And maybe Holmes and I, which we rookies together, those who don't know, Commissioner Holmes, we rookies together in a one-on-one, and we ran up 13 stories for 13. That was unfounded. Those other than that, everything else is short, 2-3 blocks through the.
Yeah, everything else is short. So it's racist if you ask anybody to run a mile and a half. You know, everything else is short. You know, yeah, racist. Black people can't run. Did you hear that? Black, brown people, you can't run. Did you hear that?
So somebody should tell that to those Ethiopians, who always are winning marathons. Yeah. So, anyway, I mean, it's funny how I don't understand how Eric Sanders and Joel are the ones defending this when, again, this is the police pension chart. I don't know if you guys could see it, you in the audience, but at the top, okay, there's a lot of people who should be doing some speaking about all of this right now who are mysteriously silent, okay, including the unions themselves, okay? And I don't understand why they need why aren't they saying anything about this, okay? Because this affects it's not just inappropriate, but this pension affects all of us, okay? And if you have improprieties in the pension fund, then you have to ask yourself, what are the improprieties are existing there? And I'm just going to say that what I particularly don't like about this is that the fact that we're asking questions now, it's racist to ask questions now when the people who are doing those improprieties are black. Is that it? Is that it? What? Because we didn't exist when the people who are doing their improprieties are white, in terms of the pension. Are we racist now because we exist now and we're criticizing the people there who happen to be black? Does it matter? We said we don't care if they were purple. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, and again, we've also pointed out that about the paper Rose made concerns about the NY Post. Okay, so this, we're not just pulling this out of our ass. The NY Post themselves made concerns about Commissioner Ganley and Chief Resnick's pension, that they might have been double dipping. Okay, so I just don't understand where where racist now is coming from, because that's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're doing something inappropriate certainly in the NYPD, you deserve to get called out for it. Okay, and what's happening now is, like we said, it's inappropriate.
Well, this is totally appropriate. Apparently, doing an investigation and research is being sold as inappropriate. This is not inappropriate. We should have these discussions. The city has not responded. So everyone should question, why hasn't the city responded? But yet we're getting debate from different parties here on what is the law and how to interpret it. And I think we'll give it a fair assessment here, because we have the actual same statute that is being recited, and we're actually giving the pertinent information from that law. So I'll give everyone an opportunity here, especially our friends and listeners. If you have an opportunity later to look at 645 and tell us what you think. And it's black and white. If you are a retired uniform member, it closes that pension. The membership is closed out. And if you enter into NYCERS, it's a complete different entity. That's why I'm going to call the pension today, because apparently it doesn't matter. Louis Molina left. He left and worked in Vegas. So John, myself, Marlon, Sal, Rob, Ron, we all left. I'm outside New York right now. I've been working for over 3 years doing the network. I want to know, if I'm appointed as a commissioner of the Finest Unfiltered, a deputy commissioner here, not for the NYPD, can I get another pension? Is this pensionable time? I want to know if I could add this to my pension. Now we are commissioners of the Finest Unfiltered. Can we get another pension? But apparently not. Here, LOL JK9443 put rules for thee, not for me. Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's my argument. And I hope no one gets upset by this. Because if this is so legit, then why are we, when we have a cop killed in the line of duty, why are we making them a first grade detective? Why don't we make them a commissioner? Why don't we make them commissioner of probation and get them an inflated pension to help their families, and then retire them as a uniform member? And I think we laid it out here. It's pretty fair. Exactly what we said before, right? This would apply to Tanya Kinsella, who's under the umbrella of the NYPD as the first deputy commissioner to have that uniform pension. But Juanita Holmes is completely different. She's under NYCERS. As the commissioner of probation, she's under NYCERS. But yet retiring as a uniform member, her uniform membership is closed. Someone put here, Vince69, Eric Dim, can you call the pension section while live on air? That would be cool. Yeah, actually, we've been thinking about doing it, just trying to figure out if you'd be able to hear me. I have no problem doing that. I want to ask them questions. I want to see what they say. I'm sure I would put my money on it. That phone's probably going to click. They're probably going to hang up on me and figure out and tap dance of what response they're going to give. I highly doubt that on the first call that I would get a response right away. There's no way. There's no way. And you have to ask yourself, when there's personal jabs and accusations or subliminal messages towards this network for us doing our research, you have to ask yourself why. And it appears to me that people are protecting their friends because they've benefited from misuse and abuse of this language. It's just completely total abuse of this language. The bottom line is, if you are a uniform member, you enter into NYCERS, that membership is closed. It's exactly that, a uniform member pension only. And I think, the argument is, well, this has been done before. I'm sure it has. And we could probably point out names to you, but that doesn't make it right either. And what's going on right now is so blatant. I mean, you can tell right there, D. Meminger, even him, he looks like what? You were chief? Okay. But apparently it looks like he got some pressure to not ask questions on it, because it just doesn't make sense. He doesn't know the law himself. He doesn't know how this works, but yet it didn't seem right to him, because it just doesn't make sense. Sometimes you could just look at things and point to it and say, without any understanding of it, that it just doesn't make sense. And this just doesn't look right. You have to ask yourself, why Why do they want more money? And I can care less if they're black, brown, yellow, female. I don't care. We're talking about money here. Money's green, and we're all affected by this. And we should all actually get involved in this because we're all affected because they're weaponizing and using these pensions to the point that these pensions are not guaranteed. If people think that these pensions can last forever and it's impossible to be penetrated and permeate, it's not impossible. And we could all be affected by it. But why do they need such inflated pensions? Why do they need this? I mean, Jessica Tisch is a billionaire. And you know what? One thing I will give her credit for is she knows she doesn't take the money. Obviously, it helps her in her potential political career, but she doesn't take the money because she doesn't need it. And people like Juanita Holmes, in my opinion, she doesn't need the money either. She has a substantial pension. Why do you need to continue to get a uniform pension? Why not just get some type of payout? You working as a commissioner of probation. Why do you need these inflated numbers? I just, you have to ask yourself. Like, some people say, "Oh, these are nice people." Are they really that nice? Honestly.
So, and then after we debunk that bullshit law that has absolutely nothing to do, but yet, trained experts tried to say that this is why everything's okay. Here you go. Here's this law that doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about, but this is why it's okay and this is why it's legal. That law. Oh, and don't listen to those guys that platformed us and kind of made us relevant. Don't listen to those guys, right? Because the thing is, like, people like, oh, this doesn't, what's it called? This doesn't look good for the platform. Joe Ramirez and Eric Sanders are not part of the Finance Unfiltered. So let's get that straight. There's plenty of people around that try to jump on the bandwagon and want to be part of the team when they never were, and they never will be. So let's just get that out there right now. So this isn't division with anyone. This is just the snakes around cutting their own grass and exposing themselves. That's all it is. That's all it is. Take your information where you get it from. So after we shredded that argument online, because I posted exactly what it said in there and how it doesn't apply to any of them. After it was completely shredded, then Eric Sanders reposted again. Didn't want to come on the podcast, didn't want to debate. Joel didn't want to debate. No. Now we need a legal expert, but he's got one right here that still doesn't want to, right? So calling lawful conduct a scam is reckless. Full stop. There is meaningful difference between policy disagreement and character attack. Too many commentators have abandoned that line. Labeling conduct that is expressly authorized by law as a scam or scheme or borderline criminal is not advocacy. It's irresponsible rhetoric. And if the individuals involved were not public servants subject to heightened scrutiny, that kind of accusation would be actionable defamation. This is no longer about interpretation. The rules are settled. What remains is tone, intent, and accountability. When critics ignore settled legal frameworks, what's settled and legal? You haven't fucking explained one thing. And instead accuse individuals of dishonesty or criminality for complying with the rules in place, the problem is not conduct. It's the accusation. Public service does not strip people of their right to reputational fairness, nor does it invite reckless narratives untethered from fact. Maybe we should look at all the stuff you posted about Richie Taylor and Jessica Tisch. Shouldn't we, huh? Disagreeing with how a system is designed is legitimate. Attacking people for operating within it is not, even though no one, including yourself, can fucking explain how they're operating into it and are citing law that makes zero sense and is not relevant to the claims you're making. And by the way, again, you are now the official spokesperson in my eyes for the New York City Police Department and for New York City. Congratulations. Words like scam and corruption are not neutral. They carry legal and moral weight. Deploying them without factual basis corrodes public discourse and undermines confidence in institutions far more than the conduct being criticized. Wow, I guess you should just drop all your lawsuits then, shouldn't you? If the objection is to the policy itself, the answer is reform. If the objection is political, the answer is debate. Oh, wow, that's weird, but I feel like New York City and you are completely unwilling to do that. But inputting wrongdoing where none exists is neither. We've solved it. 645 solved it. Criticism should aim upward at systems, structures, and lawmakers, not sideways at individuals who followed the rules as written. What fucking rules? Anything else is not accountability. It's scapegoating. The rule of law depends on not only on compliance, but on restraint, especially from those who claim to speak in the name of integrity. You should take your own fucking advice. Rules of law, responsible criticism, public service, defamation, facts matter, the path of lawful conduct policy debate, the path of reckless rhetoric and character attack. Do me a favor, Eric. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's it's out of line, you know. It's out of line. He made a point in there about if they weren't public servants. I mean, the whole thing is, the whole problem here is that we have a group of public servants who are manipulating the system to enrich themselves, and where the peasants on the bottom are getting hammered, they're getting punished and fired for in cases where there's no due process involved. Okay. And we have a group of public servants manipulating the system to enrich their own. And so the fact that if they weren't public servants, the whole point is that they're public servants. So that comment to me just doesn't make any sense. And I saw a comment in there from Patrick Donahue about Resnick. Again, let me pull it up. About Resnick. Now, the thing is, we don't know further details about this, but I'm pointing out that if it's in the paper, there should there be some scrutiny of Resnick and Ganley, considering what's going on now. Damn right there should be. Okay, everyone, they should all be scrutinized for this now, because unfortunately they didn't speak up. Did they go to the CEA and tell them, listen, this is wrong, you got to speak up about this, and this can't happen? Did they go to the CEA when Kaz was getting promoted every 3 months? No. So now, unfortunately, these idiots, okay, have brought this to public attention, and now it's going to get publicly scrutinized. So now people like Resnick and Ganley should damn sure be publicly scrutinized for when they were there as well, and to see if their pension was unfairly enriched as well. Everyone, the thing is, if you don't speak up for this, okay, you don't speak up for wrongdoing, eventually the eyes are going to come on you, okay, as to why you're not speaking up about wrongdoing. Okay, it doesn't matter who you are. Okay, and I also want to say, the fact that Tish doesn't get a salary herself is not some, it's not, she shouldn't be lauded for that, exactly. Okay, because her family, keep in mind, is very hooked up to the city, okay, and the police pension fund. And you don't necessarily need to get a 200K salary, which is pittance to a billionaire, okay, when you're making connections and you're enriching your friends with you're potentially enriching your friends with government contracts worth multi-millions of dollars, okay? And I'm not making any allegations, but I'm just saying her family for decades has ran the police foundation, even from the beginning when her grandfather helped establish it, okay? So I'm just putting that out there.
I think the bottom line is, do we either execute law or do we interpret law? And I think when it comes to interpreting law, it's up to a judge. It's up to a judge to interpret law. And it's our job to execute law. And if people are going to interpret it on different ends, then you know what? I think we have every right to research it and to dissect it and do an investigation based on what this law is. And based on 645, I think we've proved that there's a grift going on here. I think we proved that there's abuse and misinterpretation and semantics when it comes to the language that's written in this law. And I believe that it's something that people thought would just go unnoticed and never have an actual discussion about until this network. And again, we posed this question over a year ago. Maybe it is 2 years ago. John said 2 years. I think it might be as far as 2 years when we spoke about Kaz Daughtry and his promotion, right? And this, at this time, this is actually a different discussion, right? Because Kaz Daughtry at the time was promoted by Rocket Fuel, but he was promoted to deputy commissioner, right? But the question at the time was, did he still hold the rank and position as a uniform member? And was he appointed a title? Did he actually get that actual position? And a lot of the questions were because he was running around with a firearm. But this is something completely different, right? He was still under the umbrella of NYPD. Now, that's for deputy commissioner. But when he was appointed to assistant commissioner, that changes. Assistant commissioner doesn't apply to. Why it applies to deputy commissioner, not assistant commissioner, I don't know. But for some reason, that's what's written in the language we've read so far. But as far as a civilian employee who's attached to another agency, it doesn't apply anymore. And it makes sense. I mean, I don't think you need to be a college educated. I don't think you need any degrees to just say it's that simple that if you're a deputy commissioner, you're still under the umbrella of the NYPD. You're an NYPD employee, and NYPD employees retire with NYPD police pensions, not under NYSERS. But when you enter a civilian agency outside the NYPD, you fall under NYSERS, which is the New York State Employment Retirement System, which is completely different, which makes sense. You close that membership. Now, what this law was saying before is that if you didn't retire, you can open up that membership and be entitled to the same tier. So you're entitled to the rights and privileges, but you're not a contributing member. This is far different. I don't think that you need such classification in your degrees and your background to really understand it. I think it's that simple. You're either an NYPD employee or not. This is a uniform pension for uniform members only. I just don't understand how we could get to the point that we've have so much semantics in going back from this law. I think it's pretty simple. And the fact that we're actually trying to add this law and mix it in with this procedure and mix everything together is causing confusion. And I believe that that confusion is done on purpose to create this mirage where people just get so exhausted and tired by the language that they just give up, like everything else within the police department or everything else in the city that just doesn't look right. Where people just give up and say, you know what? I can't make sense of it. Fine, just let them have it. And the answer is no, because we're all affected by this. And Fox here said it before. She's not a cop, but she's affected by it also. Talk about taxpayer money. We're all affected by this. This has become a lucrative business for people to dip back into the NYPD pension. And even more so should we care, because the NYPD police pension is its own pension fund. It's not supported by a state system where all different agencies are contributing to it. We already have a diminished police department. And if you look at the pension system, it's basically a Ponzi scheme, right? The three of us, unfortunately, Marlon was wrongfully terminated. But rhetorically speaking, if the three of us are getting pensions, well, we need about 6 police officers working, contributing to the pension system so that we can get our pensions. And when those 6 police officers, rhetorically speaking, retire, they need 12 police officers working to contribute to that pension. But if we have people that are constantly dipping back into that pension with a diminished police department, can we be affected by it? Yes. The answer is yes. This is not a guarantee. Stephen S., my brother, says it here. Corruption hurts everyone. It sure does. This is not something that we could slide and we can let slip easily. This is some serious shit.
So after the 645 argument failed, and then after the slander about us being racist, and then after the slander about us spreading misinformation, Eric Sanders then continued to play his legal gymnastics as he's jump roping. So, but he gets over the target somewhat, but he's still not there. So, and he brings basically even worse. So he fails on connecting the dots with 645. Joel obviously failed too. And then Joel goes away, but Eric keeps going, and he's going to continue. Because like I said, he's going, like I said online, he's going to continue to bring obscure rules And as the week goes on, you're going to see, well, it was this rule with that rule, and because of this, then that, then this, and that makes it all legal. It's like, no. We're asking for where it is. And I don't care about the Adams administration. Yeah, everyone's like, oh, you guys are obsessed with Adams. I'm not obsessed with anybody. I'm obsessed with the facts. The facts are nobody in New York City, not the pension section, not the New York City mayor's office, and not the NYPD is willing to answer on how this is happening. How is someone that was retired from the NYPD coming back into city service, not working for the NYPD, working in a civilian role, and bolstering their NYPD pension? How does it happen? How does it happen? Where is the rule? Show me where it says you could do that. It's not hard. You're a lawyer. You should have had it nailed on the first time. We shouldn't have had to go around 645, right? We shouldn't have had to make the accusations of bias. You should have just been able to debunk us like that. But no, here we are. Here's the next rule that doesn't tell us anything except for the fact that people's time outside of New York City, actually outside of the NYPD, actually doesn't count towards your police pension. Because if you read 645, what it's saying is it protects your tier and your time. It doesn't say, oh, well, when you come back into city service, now you could go and you could still continue your police pension while you're a sanitation worker, or you could still continue your sanitation pension while you work for DCAS. No, that's not what it does. You are governed by the rate and the rules of your title, right? And that goes for retirement as well. That goes for your health care. That goes for all that stuff. Right. And so when you look at DCAS saying that they can't hire Marlon back, who was wrongfully terminated without ever being charged with anything, because he's already out of New York City service, so they can't reinstate him. You're like, wait a minute. You can't reinstate Marlon, who did 16 years, and you never even gave him a department trial, and you never did anything. But yet you could reinstate yourself a decade later, and you don't skip a beat. You don't skip a beat. You're coming back and your time's adding up, but Marlins doesn't. You need to create a rule. Oh, and they just forgot to vote on it before Adams got out of office. They just happened to forget to vote on it. Screw those city workers who wouldn't take the vaccine, right? Or didn't give us the fake vaccine card, right? Because those are the good guys. The guys that scam the system, those are the guys that we got to take care of. The guys that gave the fucking fake vaccine cards. The guys that don't have a fucking pair of balls and will offer their wife and children up for their fucking pension. Those guys that'll sell their fucking integrity because they don't have a nutsack in their fucking pants. Those are the guys we got to take care of, not Marlon. So let's get to the next law. Let's get to the next legal gymnastics. Here we go. One more point people keep missing. Timing still matters. Even when someone leaves the deputy police commissioner role and later serves as a deputy mayor, the pension story does not necessarily end there. Eric Sanders loves Kaz Daughtry. Is that what I just read? I think so. The mistakes critics keep making is assuming that once a non-credible appointment occurs, all future pensionable credit is forever barred. That is not how the statute works. Kaz, you should have told Eric not to post this, by the way, because he just said that what you're doing, you can't do. Administrative Code 13252. I read it. Good. I'm familiar with it. Good. Let's go into it. Does not grant credit based on career trajectory. It grants credit based on status at the time the service is rendered. RSSX 65. Excuse me, I missed it. If and only if the individual later steps down from the deputy mayor role, is lawfully restored to police pension fund membership, and reverts to an eligible NYPD title covered by 13252, pensionable time may resume from that point. Do you hear what he's saying? Do you hear what he just said? Thank you, Eric. Thank you for posting the truth. And what the truth says is, his time as an assistant commissioner and his time as a deputy mayor did not count towards his police pension. So, Kaz, you got a few more years you got to put in, guy. Didn't count. How he's going back into his police pension is, we don't know, though. I mean, there's no explanation for it because it's not covered onto 13252. That would be covered onto we just used the MELD law and we just put them on military leave extended desk while they were in their other role, but still contributing towards their NYPD pension and all their time and credit counted. How? Where? Oh, and they don't even have to pay it back or buy it back. Oh, weird. They don't even have to put the interest in. And all the money they made actually counts towards it. And it was all going and they were getting 80 and a quarter at it. Where does it say that anywhere in 13252? What 13252 says, and I'll bring it up for you guys, it says that a police commissioner, if you're appointed as the NYPD police commissioner or a deputy police commissioner, you could continue in the police pension, even if your service ceased 10 years ago. Doesn't say anything about if you're a deputy mayor. Doesn't say anything about if you're assistant commissioner. Doesn't say anything if you're about the nightlife mayor. Doesn't say anything if you're about the sheriff. Doesn't say anything if you're about the deputy commissioner of probation. Doesn't say anything if you're the commissioner of DCAS. Doesn't say anything about them. They're not covered under this rule either. So again, legal gymnastics. RSSL 645 supplies the mechanism. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It permits restoration of membership and suspension of retirement when the member returns to eligible service. No, it doesn't. It doesn't apply to retirement. I would think that a lawyer could understand and read legal framework. I mean, but clearly you can't. Eligibility is not defeated by an intervening civilian appointment. It is determined by the current statutory title. That means time as a deputy mayor is not credible. Also means time as assistant commissioner is not credible. Credit pauses while the person is outside 1352 coverage. Credit may resume once the individual returns to an eligible NYPD position. Why is someone eligible but Marlon Bethel's not? Why is someone eligible but I'm not? Why is someone else eligible but Eric Dim's not? Why? Anybody explain that to me? Oh, maybe it's biased. Oh, maybe it's DEI. Maybe. And yes, accrued compensatory time or leave lawfully earned during prior eligible service may run out while restored to active status, consistent with pension system rules, and counted towards service credit because the member is back in a credible title at the time. This is not a workaround. No, but it certainly is legal gymnastic that make no fucking sense. That is how leave accrual has always been functioned in the public pension systems. Really? Really? Well, then how come it doesn't apply to us? The key is not sequence, not optics. Pension credit follows statutory status, not political titles, headlines, or assumptions about intent. So the rules remain clear, but they actually don't. 1352 controls what service counts. RSSL controls that the membership can be restored. No, it fucking doesn't. Credit accrues while the status applies. Civilian service does not poison future eligibility. This is not generosity. This is not favoritism. It is not textbook pension. Pension law does not punish people for leaving eligible service. It simply pauses and resumes when the statute allows. Read the statutes together. That's where the answer has always been. So just so we're clear, 1352 is huge. It's absolutely huge. But here, if you read it here, in any case of such beneficiary who is appointed to police commissioner or a deputy police commissioner, he or she shall again become a member of the pension system and shall remain a member while serving as police commissioner or deputy police commissioner. Not assistant commissioner, not commissioner of probation, not anything fucking else. You're the police commissioner or you're deputy commissioner for the NYPD. Those are the only ways you could remain in the pension system or then rejoin the pension system and then it become new. Mark Stewart. That's it. That's it.
What's the time frame on that one?
There is no time frame. You could come back in 20 years. They'll reopen it as if you were a new employee. That is the only thing. Police commissioner or deputy commissioner for the NYPD. That is it. Yeah. Not deputy mayor, not anything else. It's clear as day. So thank you for putting out 13262, right?
Yeah. You know, the problem is that there's so much gymnastics going on. The reason why I'm disappointed in Eric, you know, is because when you're doing so much gymnastics, you're tacitly approving of my situation, you know, and as John said, if they can do it, why we don't have that? We can't do that. You know, if you're doing all these gymnastics for this corrupt crew of Eric Adams cronies, you're tacitly approving of a lot of the things they've done, and you're tacitly approving of this inequity. And so I'm disappointed in that, you know. And it does. If Chief Holmes is my friend, I would tell her, listen, you got to do this the right way, okay? Because it's gonna come back at you. I'm not gonna go along with you and talk up your corruption. You know, I'm gonna tell you you better get right because this shit is gonna come back and hit you in the face. Okay, you know. So and again, Chief Holmes is a nice lady because I did a detail with her in it was the U.S. Open. She's a nice lady, but we've all said it before, and we've all pointed out before in prior episodes how her judgment is just not there. Okay, she's made plenty of like mistakes where it's like you know, I question your leadership for doing that, you know, but she's a nice lady. I mean, her sister Janice, by the way, is an awesome. She was an awesome lieutenant. Okay, awesome lieutenant. I don't know how she is as a chief, but I think she's awesome. But again, we think again it's right is right and wrong is wrong, and if we're doing so much gymnastics to support this, you're tacitly approving of all the nonsense, and I'm disappointed in that.
You know what? I could give two shits. She's a nice lady. I've been hearing this often. That's why John and I did an episode called, Nice Guy Syndrome. Yeah. You know what? If I had skeletons in the closet and I was benefiting from the city, I would be nice too, so that people don't look into my stuff either. What I realize is there are so many chiefs on the job. Everybody's, oh, that guy's a nice guy. Yeah. All these guys, they're such nice guys. They haven't said a word about all the potential corruption scandals that have been going on with this administration. They're all so nice. They're so nice to everybody. Fuck that. I'm tired of all these people being so nice. Are they good? Yeah, I would be nice too. You know what? A couple of years ago, when I was working in Police Service Area 7, I don't know why, every year it turned out there was one cop selling drugs, and next year was another cop selling drugs. They were the nicest people you ever met. Nicest. There was this one girl. She turned out she was selling drugs. She was the nicest girl. She was so quiet. Yeah, of course she was nice because she had to hide the fact that she was out there selling drugs so nobody looks into her.
Mm.
Now, I'm not saying they're selling drugs, but a lot of people are nice because it's a facade. Are they good? There's a big difference. You know what? We're not always nice. I believe I'm very respectful. I believe John and Marlon are very respectful, but we're not always nice. You know, if you step on my toes, I'm going to make sure that those toes go up your ass. So, but we're good, and there's a difference. Great. I'm glad someone put this comment here. I wanted to get into this. This is more of my notes here. So, BJS Garda, is that what it is? I can't read this out. I got to get my glasses. It says you can retire, collect your pension, come back with a 211 pension waiver. Great. So I wrote some notes on the 211 waiver because I knew people would go there. So what is a 211 waiver actually? The RSSL 211, here's another law, allows a public employer to hire a retiree and pay them a salary with the retiree continues to collect their pension. So I want to say that again, allows a public employer to hire a retiree and pay them a salary while the retiree continues to collect their pension. If the employer proves a need and gets approval. This most often comes up with retirees from systems like the New York State Employment Retirement System, which is what I mentioned before. What a 211 waiver does, it lets a retired public employee work again for a public employer, allows them to keep receiving their pension. So they're receiving a pension, right? So if they retired from the New York City Police Department and got this 211 waiver, they would be receiving their pension, and they would then also get a salary and be paying into NYSERS, which is a separate pension system. It temporarily waives the normal rule that would otherwise suspend the pension. And here's what I wrote down. What it doesn't do. It does not reopen pension membership. Remember, I told you earlier that if you retired as a uniform member and now you're working for an outside agency, your membership in that uniform pension closes. It does not create new credit towards service. It does not allow a second retirement. It doesn't restore your tier, right? Lily was asking before, what is your tier? Tier 3, that's the guys that are working right now. Tier 2 is what we were working. And so there's different pension options, which tier you retire at. So it does not restore your tier or your membership date. It does not apply to uniform police membership. So that is a 211 waiver. So we have the 211 waiver. We have what John brought up, 1352. We have 645. And what I believe what they're doing is kind of what John said earlier before. I think they're trying to misuse and abuse this language, plain semantics, and coupling it with the military extended leave desk, which I believe is a complete violation of the Soldiers and Sailors Act, because Soldiers and Sailors Act is complete law. So if they are utilizing the military extended leave desk and doing that, that's a slap in the face to every service member that's in the NYPD and goes out serving the military while they're still working for the NYPD. Shame on them. If they are doing that, that's stolen valor.
Look, it's real simple. When the city of New York isn't responding and the pension system isn't responding and the NYPD isn't responding, but people are responding for them as if they are the moral authority on this, and they're putting these laws that make no sense. 211's another one. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about. It's you come back, you earn a salary, and you collect your pension. Your pension doesn't continue to grow as a result of that, right? So it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Literally, it's not involved in this conversation because, and people are like, oh, nobody should get a pension they didn't pay into. Time out. Nobody should be able to pay into a police pension that isn't eligible to do so. And we just found out only uniform members and police commissioners and deputy commissioners can, right? And deputy police commissioners, excuse me. Only the police commissioner, deputy police commissioner, and uniform members. That is it. Those are the only people. Those are the only people that deserve to be able to pay into a very lucrative uniform pension system. Very lucrative, where you get an 8.25% on your money, a year over year, compounded. You're able to make additional pension payments. Those are the only people, right? Because we haven't heard shit yet. We still haven't heard a valid argument on why. So, and the bottom line is this. Everyone's like, oh, nothing's going to get done. No. There are things that have been done time after time, and there are things that should still be done. That's it. There was an audit done back in 2001. They saw all the people that were receiving pension payments over, and they collected those funds back. And that's what needs to happen now. This needs to be audited. This needs to be explained. And if it's not legit, if we're going to run legal gymnastics and just cries of racism, then you know what it is, and there's going to be people owing a lot of money back. And I don't give a fuck either. I don't feel bad for a second. You're making a lot of fucking money already that you don't deserve. You don't have to make the extra $10,000 a month that you need, because screw that. I'm sick of the bullshit. Oh, no. We don't want to go there, though. We don't want to go there. We want to do this. We want to do that. No. Fuck that. This platform's called The Finest Unfiltered. Not Will Only Attack, who Eric Sanders or fucking Joel Ramirez, who I don't know who the fuck they think they are anyway, are going to think they're going to tell us what the fuck we're going to talk about. Because it ain't going to happen. All right? So that's it. Like, fuck that. That there should be an audit done based upon these fucking responses, because clearly there isn't law that says that they're governed under this. Clearly, we're just doing... Oh, no, but if you do this, and then you take the 211 and you combine it with the 645, and you get the fuck out of here.
That's what I'm talking about, John. They're just trying to confuse people. It's like they create a math equation. You take the 1352 divided by the 211, add the 465. Here's your fucking rule. This is pure bullshit. Why can't you just tell us black and white? Here's the rule. But no, we have to. This is total semantics. It's like when you were on the job and you would ask 10 people. I remember I always said, if you ask 10 sergeants a question, you get 10 different answers. It's the same thing with this. 10 people will tell you, no, see, the 211 goes into the 645. You take the 1352 when you turn it around and it becomes a 5213. What the fuck is going on here? You either can get the pension or you can't. I mean, I think we read it to you. It's obvious. Yeah. Marlon, what's your math? Is 645 divided by 1352 equal to 211?
Well, after that, you got to do a triple deluxe spin. And then when you land, you got to put your chest out and make sure, your feet are stable so you can, so you might be able to get a gold medal at the Olympics. Yeah.
I think I'm writing down the math. I can't figure it out. I'm doing 1352 divided by 645. Does it equal to 11? I don't know.
Dude, but that's exactly what, and there's going to be more, right? I can't wait till the MELD dust comes up too. I can't wait for that one, because that was one that we had early on too, where it's like, oh, we did the research. We're gonna speak for the city of New York. Like, oh, okay, all right, go ahead, go do it. Let me hear it. Go.
Oh, no, you know what it equals? I'm sorry.
Everybody would love to hear it.
John, I made a mistake.
Cite this law that has nothing to fucking do with anything, but I'm going to tell you that it's legal and everything covers it. Here's penal code for drinking an open container of alcohol. See, this is why everything's legal and everything they're saying. And those guys are just racists. They're racists. They're racist because Rudy Giuliani was Italian and they did it. Well, then audit those motherfuckers too.
You know what? I figured out the math. I got it. You ready? I just wrote it down. You take 1352 divided by 645. You multiply 211. It equals 3/4. Got it. There it is.
And then we just steal Marlon's pension. We take the last few years of my pension off, and we all whack it up because we're a bunch of fucking crooks. Fuck out of here.
So you know what? I want to call today and say we figured it out. I know the 1352 divided by 645 equals 211. Gets me 3/4. Where's my 3/4? I want 3/4. That's what it equals.
No. Marlon, just make sure we're only criticizing Jessica Tish and Richie Taylor on here, right? John Shell's open game too because he's white. You know, don't bring up any black executives. Don't do it. Talk about Rudy Giuliani. Don't talk about Eric Adams. Eric Adams was a great fucking cop. Great cop.
Yeah. If we were to start selectively criticizing people, you know, and avoiding certain people just because they're black or they were whatever, they're purple, who cares? Okay. Then when we're MSNBC, we're CNN, okay, and we're Fox, all right, and that's not unfiltered, okay.
Spot on,
you guys who are watching us now you'd stop watching us in a heartbeat. How do I know? Because that's the majority of NYPD podcasts out there, okay. They're not going to tell you. They're gonna sugarcoat everything and not tell you what's wrong as well, and they avoid talking about certain people. And that's not us, okay? And that this is why we're called the finest unfiltered, guys, okay? And you know, maybe Chief Holmes should stop hanging out with certain celebrities, okay? Maybe you should stop associating with people like Cardi B, okay? And your pension is fine as the way it is right now. You already have a big pension, okay? Why do you need to go and ruin your reputation and get yourself in? Wade around in a mud and swamp of inappropriate improprieties and corruption. Why? I don't get it. I don't get it. You know.
I wonder if Juanita Holmes put it for 3/4? If she will put it for 3/4, I'm sure we should expect that.
Probably.
Oh yeah, we should expect that in about a year from now. I'm sure. Again, you know, we're joking about it. But it's fucking true, right? How is it that we're talking about 645, 1352, 211, yet everybody that retires at not everyone, but a high majority percentage that retire with rank and status and titles is what we're talking about here, get a 3/4 pension. You know, I'm curious of how many people that have retired with that type of status have been denied a 3/4 pension. If there's anyone here that has that type of rank and status, and if you've been denied a 3/4 pension, I'd like to know why. Probably, if you did, probably because you weren't in the good old boys circle, and you were probably the fall guy like Paul Sarasano, right? The discipline order just came down for Paul Sarasano. Somehow, Paul Sarasano, you know, took all the weight for Jeffrey Maggi, you know, making the one police plaza his own brothel. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. But again, we're talking about numbers here. And we're talking about a pension system. Why are we playing semantics? It either is, you either get this pension or you don't. But this whole idea of taking all these laws and combining them, I think we've just broken down and explained it in as simple as form. You know, I'll give, you know, anyone credit then. Talk to us like we're idiots. Please tell me where we're wrong. Break it down. Break this down without having to say, well, if you take this and you add it plus this and if you look at that, just tell me, can anyone write down in 1 or 2 lines what the law is? I challenge anyone. If you could write it down in 1 or 2 lines, I highly doubt it, because I'll show you the information, all the notes that I have here, what we just discussed here, and it debunks it every time. It debunks every time. This is just pure bullshit. And again, I go back to Mall, and I'm not knocking you. I met Juanita Holmes, and she was nice also. But I always was very skeptical of all these people. I'm like, oh, wow, they're all so nice. They're all so nice to your face. They're smiling at you. And I'm sure it's happened to you, Marlon. Well, we know it because you were wrongfully terminated, and it happened to me. These same chiefs would come up to me and smile at me and say, Eric, man, we love what you're doing out there. Thank you so much, man. I wish I had you when I came on the job in the early 90s. And then behind closed doors, when I'm getting 8 sets of charges in 6 weeks, and I asked the union, is there anything they could do for me? None of these people that were smiling at my face stood up to help. Meanwhile, they knew damn well I could have been rocket fuel promoted to deputy commissioner. All my CCRBs would have went away. I would have got an inflated uniform pension, and I would have said, who cares? You're right, John Shell. Never a captain, deputy commissioner. But no, because I was tier 3, I was general population. So you know what, Lily, you asked about tiers. There's pension tiers, but then there's also an unwritten tiered system in the NYPD that we have identified from the Finance Unfiltered. There is a 3-tiered system in the NYPD. Tier 1, that's the people that are benefiting from this pension based on the observations we made. Tier 2, nepotism, cronyism. Tier 3, general population. That's us. General population, you get screwed. If you're not sure on how these tiers work, you have to refer to Marlon's disciplinary matrix he put out, where it shows if you're tier 3, you're basically fucked. Yeah, that's what it is. Because I'm sure when I call the pension section today and I say, listen, I've been retired over 3 years. My pension is not what I wanted it to be. I've been working with the Finance Unfiltered, helping cops. We're commissioners from the Finance Unfiltered. John, we're all commissioners. Just want to let you know that. We've been appointed as commissioners of the Finance Unfiltered. I would like to get an enhanced pension. Can I get it? How fast do you think that phone's going to hang up? Pretty damn quick.
They're going to put you on hold for about 45 minutes and then hang up. And then you're going to call back. It's going to be, look, the bottom line is this. Police pension, the uniform pension, is meant for uniform members of the service because they put their blood, sweat, tears, and sometimes they put their life into it. It's not meant for you to bolster. It's not meant for your friends of political allies to get big money from and get even bigger pensions than they already got for overtime they didn't fucking deserve and for titles they already didn't deserve. It's not because you're political. It's not a political patronage fucking reward thing. This is a fucking pension system that we paid into, that we continue to pay. The taxpayer doesn't pay it right now. The city doesn't fund it right now. It's all of our fucking money. So why aren't you protecting it? Why don't you care to protect it? Because guess what? If that money gets spent like Eric Adams spent the fucking city budget, and now he's handing over with $1 billion loss, guess what? You're going to be shit out of luck because nobody likes you. Nobody gives a fuck about you, your pension, your kids, nobody, because nobody has the pension. And you saw that with the whole Doge thing. You saw all the corporate people like, fuck those government employees, fire them. We don't have pensions, not understanding that it's our money in the pension system, right? It's a pension system we created. It's not meant to be abused. It should be protected. Audit the fucking pension system, see who got overpaid, and send them a fucking bill. And if anybody's got to get a diminished check, that's just what the fuck has to happen. You had no problem diminishing my pension. You had no problem robbing fucking Marlon's pension. You had no problem robbing Sal's pension. I don't got a fucking problem diminishing yours.
Yeah, facts. You know,
right? Or maybe you'll still be driving a fucking Escalade that you don't deserve and you didn't work for anyway. Couldn't go get a fucking job in the private sector, but saved your life. Fuck out of here. Most of you couldn't fucking be a manager in Dunkin' Donuts. You fucking scumbags.
Yeah. You know, we said it before. Like you guys who are just brushing off this as nothing, or it's just how the system is. You need to realize that there's a lot of anger, you know, certainly for the younger generations who are losing their jobs. They can't afford a house. They feel a sense of hopelessness for the future. Okay. And then they see public officials manipulating the system to enrich themselves even further when they already have massive pensions. You don't think they're going to be angry about that? if you're paying attention to the markets right now, you might have noticed that silver did something crazy over the last couple of days. Let me tell you, that is a sign of underlying problems with the system. Okay, and though the governments will want to tell you that everything is fine and the markets are great, and go look in the grocery store look at the prices in the grocery store and look how they were a couple years ago. If you think things are okay, then you're fooling yourself. Okay, and this anger that the public feels, they feel it because they see that. So now when you have public officials abusing the system, and we may have trouble, and trust me, when if the markets tank, it's gonna reflect on the pension fund. Okay, and do you think, if God forbid the pension fund needs some sort of help or some sort of bailout, the public who sees the prices in the grocery store having quadrupled in some cases from 5 years ago, do you think they're going to care about your pension and the fact that you need a bailout? No, they're not, because they think you're all like these people who are getting fat off of their own corruption. So you need to wake up and understand that this is something that has to be defended by all of us. Okay, okay. These people have already have massive pensions, and for what do they need? Another Escalade? Do they need another home? You know, the system is there for if they wanted that, you do it honestly. Okay, you don't try to manipulate the system to to enrich yourself. And quick story, the only reason I said Chief Holmes is nice is because I worked the US Open 2 days in Intel. Now, one of the great things about Intel is that you're doing that detail in a suit, and it's a little different from the uniform role, from the uniform the role you served. Okay, so I did it 2 days. The first day, before I get there, I gotta go into the THV, which is this a van with like it's been modified to have seats and all this stuff inside. So I go in there and sign in, and the thing is, I'm signing in the book with bosses and like captains, inspectors. So when I walk in the door, they look at you like who the hell are you? I'm just a detective, and I got those looks when I go in there and I'm signing in. I go in there, hey, afternoon, guys. And they're like looking at me like, what the F are you doing in here? That's the look I got. Okay. So when I go in and we get the roll call, and the chief is talking to us, and she talks to me, and I thought, oh, this lady she's very personable, because I just got like some nasty looks by the THV. So I thought this lady's very personable, and she gave a speech just before that. So I thought, this lady seems nice, and she came across much more personable than the other chief who did that the day before. I forget his name. So I thought this lady seemed nice, but again, her decision making is terrible. It's terrible, and in this case, this is just another example where she's made a really, really, in my opinion, a dumb move to get to wade into the swamp.
It appears to me, right? We've heard the rumor about Tim Pearson talking about crumbs, right? Like, where are my crumbs? And just looking at this pension, it looks like the pension system has become that. It's become crumbs, where people with the title, people with the right connections, and the tiered system I've been talking about with the NYPD have access to these tangible benefits. And it's like, who's next in line? Well, you're going to get yours. You're going to get yours. You're going to get 3/4. You're going to get the civilian job, and then you're going to get an enhanced pension. And I mean, it's clear as day. I mean, can anyone think if this is legit, and this doesn't have anything to do with a tiered system as far as nepotism, cronyism, if it has nothing to do with titles and rank and the ability to capitalize on these perks, then why are we not publicizing this to the NYPD and say, hey, listen, we know some of you want to become detective, some of you want to become sergeant, but hey, listen, rhetorically speaking, hey, Officer Smith, I know you've been rocking around in Sector Adam and you have a law degree. Why don't you put in for deputy mayor of public safety, and in 10 years from now, you can still get a uniform pension. Why are we not publicizing this? This is a great recruiting tool. If this is legit, if this is factual, if we could take 1352 and multiply to 11 and get 465 and equal 3/4, why are we not publicizing this literature to the police department? Why did the union tell me that there was nothing they can do about me not getting promoted to captain because of CCRB? I was never told that, hey, I could apply, become a commissioner, and still get a uniform pension. Maybe I could have worked for sanitation or something like that. Why is this not publicized? If this law is legitimate and it's not public deferred compensation, it's a perk for everyone, then why are we not publicizing this? Why don't we pass this literature around the job? One thing I was always told is there's numerous opportunities. You just have to be able to find them, and they're out there. You just have to do the research. And I saw scholarships, I saw opportunities, but I've never saw an opportunity to be appointed as a commissioner and still get a uniform pension. So, again, this is about rank. It's about a tiered system. I mean, it's over and over. I mean, I'm not picking on anyone in particular, but if we look at it, right, it's Juanita Holmes, who was a chief, became a commissioner. She had this opportunity. We see it numerous times. Well, we see it with Molina. We see it with different people that have gotten this opportunity, but yet I've never seen anyone. Does anyone here know anyone that rocked around a sector out of for 25 years, became a commissioner of some other agency, and came back with a uniform pension? No. So clear as day, it appears that we're trying to protect those that have the higher tier and have the amenities, and we don't want to go back and affect anyone else. We don't want to hurt this system that people have been benefiting on. And to me, this is just so wrong on every level. I think this is pure evil. I really do. I think this is evil. We have unvaccinated workers from the NYPD that were wrongfully terminated, just like Ballin. John had to make a decision to retire early when he was young, clearly intelligent, enthusiastic, and wanting to spend his time in the NYPD. He could have been a commissioner. So could Marlon. So could I. I was suppressed and targeted by the Civilian Complaint Review Board. No one stood up for me. Sal was wrongfully terminated. We all have this ability. Ron and Rob, you know what? They're older now and retired, but they still have a lot of stamina. They could have stayed on as commissioners. But why not? We would never afford this opportunity because we didn't have the right connections and the right tangibles. So to me, I really do. I think this is evil. That where we have people wrongfully terminated, no one fights for them, and yet these people are getting these enhanced pensions, whether the law is legit or not. First of all, I don't think we've already given the evidence. But even if this was legit, shame on these people because they just want to keep eating more. They're all like, they talk about, if anyone ever saw the movie Seven, which I think is one of the best movies ever. But one of the 7 sins is gluttony, right? And they're just like fat slobs sitting at a table like it's never enough. We got to eat more. What else can we get? While people like Marlon are wrongfully terminated and there's cops out there starving, they don't know where their next meal is. I can kid two shits about this contract they got. They're still behind when it comes from inflation. And yet they just keep eating. Oh, I got my pension. Let me get another pension. No, it's not enough. I need 3/4. Shame on any chief right now, former chief that's walking around going, damn, I didn't get those 3/4. Yeah, Marlon didn't even get a pension. Shame on you. I'm sorry. It is fucking evil. Well, by the way, listen, we don't usually curse this much, but so don't let your kids watch this. But seriously, it is evil. It is straight up evil.
Gosh, dude, it's just completely infuriating that, people who we platformed are going to come and attack this platform. And then what's going to happen? You're not going to come on here and debate it. What are you going to do? You're going to make more fucking tweets about us, right? Without naming us specifically, just these little like veiled threats and veiled accusations. And it's honestly, it's infuriating. It's completely infuriating. So I think that had to be addressed. It just had to be addressed. That's it. You're not going to fucking come on here, spew your bullshit about how everything's fucking racist and how you're suing the police department over everything. You want to come on the platform? you got two options. You come on and you debate us and you bring up all your play and you could jump through hoops with all the legal actions and we could talk about it and we could ask questions, or you pay $5,000 an episode. That's the only way you're ever coming back on anything on the Finest Unfiltered. So that's it. You're no longer welcome here. You're not going to come and shit all over us and attack us and pretend like we're the bad guy when you're the one that I could see a clear bias on, when you're the one that I could see the people that you point out have a certain characteristic about them, and it's the color of their fucking skin, right? Because we don't discriminate here. We talk about everybody. We don't care. That's what it is. So, so that's it. So, and please don't make things about anything being, oh, is this division or you're not going to be part of? You were never a fucking part of us. And neither were you, Joel. So don't ever fucking think you are. I don't give a fuck what information you're chitter-chatting to anybody. I don't need any of your fucking sources, by the way, because they're all full of shit anyway. So just so you're aware, like fucking ridiculous, dude. It's honestly infuriating. I was pissed off this whole weekend because I watched people try to tear us down like we're the bad guys. Hell out of here. Doing the same thing that they complained about the job does. But that one's my friend. No. They could do it because that one's my friend. Like, no. I don't got no friends. So don't worry about it. So you guys got anything else on this? We'll go through that video. We'll get out of here. Because honestly, I can't even talk about this anymore because I'm like, it's so stupid. Show us the law or we're calling for an audit. Show us where it says it or I'm calling for an audit. Show us.
Yeah. I don't have much else to say. Yeah. But if your friend is involved in some nonsense, tell your friend, listen, this is gonna get you in trouble. Okay. Don't get out there and defend your friend and sacrifice your integrity. Okay. And I never want to hear anybody tell me again that Tish is writing corruption. I don't want to see it in the papers, the Post, okay? Jessica Tish's paper, okay? Because here she is. There she is, number 2 there, okay? We know the top guy up here is a corrupt SOB, okay? But I don't want to hear anything about Jessica Tish, fighting corruption in this department.
Listen, the bottom line, I think we simplified it as much as we could. We gave it a law. We put it out there in black and white. All the semantics and tap dancing around what the law is just shows you how inappropriate it is. And the more talking points I see, like I see all the talking points Eric put and other people have who we have discussed this with. To me, the more talking points that they have, it just to me creates this more mirage that there is more behind this. Because to me, it should be just that simple. It should be 1 or 2 lines of why this is the law, and that's it. And why do we need a 10-paragraph story about this law? If it's legit, we wouldn't have to do so much explaining it. And most of us here were cops, right? Our friends and listeners right now in the chat, most of us have been active retired, and some of us have never been cops. Most of us are parents or brothers and sisters, and we know what a lie is. We've dealt with people, and when they over-explain, many times there's a lie behind there, right? If you have to over-explain something or defend yourself or defend your position, why would you have to defend your position? Because we're not defending a position right now. I'm not saying here's my position or there's their position. What I'm saying is this is the law, and it looks and appears to be inappropriate. And it appears that the pension system is being manipulated, weaponized, and abused. And I think that affects us all. It affects active retired, affects taxpayers, it affects the trust within the police department. It's on all levels, and I really do think it's evil. I think there's evil when you have to get more, right? Because ultimately, I don't think this is really about the money. Even though the outcome is money, to me, it's kind of similar to when a woman is assaulted. That it's really, for the most part, it's usually not about the act itself. It's about the power and control. And I think this is kind of the same thing. They don't need, like, how much money do you need? If you're making $25,000 a month, rhetorically speaking, like, if you got another $10,000, how much money do you need? All your bills are paid. To me, this is just about power and being part of the boys club, and because you can do it, right? Because this person before you did it, well, I can do it too. And this other person, and you're all part of that same club to me, that's really what it's about. Because yes, ultimately the outcome and byproduct is money, but I think it's more about the power, the control. I really do believe. Now, I've never been a chief in the NYPD or have that type of status, but based on my observations, it appears to me it's pretty damn good up there. And I think that they just enjoy that power and those amenities they can get. I mean, that old saying, like, the world is your oyster. I believe for them, the world is their oyster. And they could, well, you know what? Hey, you want 3/4? Yeah, I can get that. You want a second pension? Yeah, I could get that too. You want to come back to the police department and get a title? Well, I could get that too. While other people have no idea and wouldn't even get close to that. So really, I think that's what it's about.
Whatever, you guys are just fucking racist. So anyway,
Well,
you got anything? I don't even want to go on this again because I'm telling you, like, you got anything else on this one?
Nah. I think we covered it well. And again, I'm disappointed in you, Eric. You know, again, I always talk you up, and I always say that you're a great attorney because I saw you at work in the trial room. But I'm very disappointed in what appears to be you defending Holmes.
No, it's beyond that, dude. It's literally attempting to tear down the platform.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
skedaddle as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's
Great
literally
point.
attempting to do that. Start your own channel. Let's see how many people watch it, Eric. Let's see how many people really give a fuck what you got to say.
John, let's show how racist we are. Let's watch a video about a cop getting their ass kicked, and we'll make some racist comments about it because he's white. So let's watch a white cop get punched in the face, and we.
Oh, you know why he was white? Oh, I can't play that video. Oh, I can't. No, I can't.
I think he was white.
No. We
white?
only criticize black guys on this show.
That's true.
No, black executives. You know, there's a clear bias narrative here. Clear bias narrative. Oh, the guy's white. Well, all right, I guess show's over, guys. Sorry. Listen, I know a lot of people commenting in the chat, and I got a few messages about that. You guys are trying to donate. Greatly appreciate it. You can always donate to the website. I don't know what's going on at YouTube. We got 11 super chats so far. We'll definitely read those out towards the end. I don't know what's going on. That's a YouTube issue. It's nothing we could fix. They're just trying to hold the white man down, I guess. That's what it is. You know, YouTube. Yeah.
I think the guy was white. I think he was. I don't know what is white anymore. Am I white? I'm Jewish. Am I white? I don't know.
I look, just last thing, dude. I think we're fair with everybody. We share this platform with everybody. We let them come on, spew opinions that we don't even believe in. And we let people debate us. We let people we wholeheartedly agree with come on. But if you're just going to take veiled threats and veiled accusations and all this bullshit, and you're not willing to come up on here and debate it publicly in front of people, you're not a friend in that. So then there's no reason for you to come on here. We're not gonna give you a podium to stand behind and talk at people. You're gonna come on here and be challenged. You had no problem challenging us. I'd like to challenge you publicly. Let's see let's let the public decide, right? Because ultimately, we're not the arbiters of truth, and we're not the arbiters of the law. Let the public decide.
True.
You can always go to our website, www.thefinestsunfiltered.com, and donate.
And make sure when we do it, we bring a calculator because I want to figure out this math of all these laws multiplied and subtracted. I want to know how we get to 3/4. That's what I want to know. I want to do the.
Well, when you take the 211 and you divide it by the 245 with the 645, and then you get that, and then that equals that Finest Unfiltered is racist.
Oh, that's the math. Those guys are racist.
You need a
and you end
calculator
up with
for
a
1 PP,
3/4
Eric.
pension
Yeah.
that you also didn't fucking deserve. Fuck out of here. All right. See, I didn't even have coffee today because I knew I was going to get worked up. So I know a lot of people commented on it. So I'm waiting until after the show to have the coffee. So
you don't need a cup of coffee. After this, you need a nap.
I'm gonna take a long walk after this, and in the freezing cold after this. So all right. So this video comes out. See the sergeant being taken away. So let's play the video. There's volume on this. All right, let's talk through this video. I think there's a song with this. We'll talk through it. So
I don't think we have to be worried. I don't think we're worried about getting monetized in this episode.
I'm sorry. I apologize for all the cursing, by the way, everybody. So
yeah, sure you do.
Dude, but it's just really infuriating, dude. For those of you that don't know, behind the scenes for about 2 weeks, we're getting rule after rule, law after law, everyone trying to explain us away from this for whoever their friend is or whoever is involved in it or whoever benefited from it. And it's like none of it makes sense. And all these people want to speak for the job. It's like, all right, go ahead, speak for them. Why are they unwilling to speak for themselves? I mean, like this isn't a hard debate. This isn't a hard debate. Like the media has been asking these questions for 2 years. They're continuing to ask the questions. No one's answering them, but you want to be the guy to go do it? Okay. All right. I guess you're the spokesperson. So that's why it's really infuriating, is because we've really been having this argument for weeks with multiple parties. And it's honestly, it's for people that claim to have integrity, it's a joke to me. It's a complete joke. No. It's all right to bend the rules for this, but it's okay that they broke the law and did that. And it's okay because if they break the law, but it's not okay if they did that because, I don't really care about that person because I don't know them. It's like, it's not unfiltered. This ain't the finest filtered. You could, someone could go off the platform and start that on themselves. The finest filtered or the Eric Sanders propaganda network. But it ain't fucking happening here.
If you want to watch the finest filtered, just watch Gold Shield.
Yeah. No, but to be fair, like those guys, like they have their little shtick, but they don't come at us. You know what I mean? Like
Nah.
they don't come at us. They do their own thing. That's fine. Like there's a place for everything. There's a place for everything. So so all right. So this video comes out. I think it was the 2-8, if I'm not mistaken. So cops are interviewing a suspect. See the sergeant coming out, hands in the vest. You see him right here, hands in the vest. He walks over to the suspect, clearly agitated. Sergeant, not far enough distance. None of the cops are. Cops not ready, hands in the vest, knocked out cold. I mean, Eric, I'm sure I believe you weighed in on this online too. Like what were your initial thoughts on watching this? I mean, it was really hard to watch.
Oh my God. So first of all, listen, I say this all the time. You don't have to be a trained MMA fighter to protect yourself as a police officer, right? It starts with self-defense. So self-defense is exactly that in the name. Defend yourself. You should love and care about yourself. And I've been saying this quite often, right? This translates to what's happening off duty, why cops are being attacked off duty, because they're allowing people in their personal space. I used to teach my cops that when it comes to situational awareness, that you have to have this imaginary basketball rim that is around your body. And people can't come inside that basketball rim unless you let them, right? That's to protect you. And you don't have to be an MMA fighter. You're not getting into mutual combat. This is about being aware, having situational awareness, having good tactics. What's tactics? A plan of how you're going to stand there with the cops, how you're going to interact with a potential subject, a person of interest. But look, I mean, clearly training has went out the window. We allow people in our personal space. There's no coordination between the cops actually letting each other be aware of what's going on. They're not flanking the perpetrator in a way that the perpetrator or a person of interest can't actually attack the sergeant. It's really sad to watch this. I've said it often, and again, there are outliers, but a majority of the cops right now, and they're also being promoted, they're meek, timid, and docile. How do you let someone in your space? Again, we talked about this often. What happens is very simple things that you need to protect yourself. You do not need to be an MMA fighter to protect yourself in any situation, especially as a cop. What you do need is mindset and defend yourself, situational awareness. You need to position yourself with your hands up in a tactical position, either a bladed stance with you have to be in a bladed stance. You have to be in a bladed stance to protect your firearm, but either you have to have praying hands or hands in a position, some call it the interview stance. But this idea, again, I see this often, it's laziness, and no one's correcting it, of people keeping their hands in their chest. Now, this particular person of interest deployed a strike and knocked this sergeant unconscious, out cold. I used to say this often. If you keep your hands in your chest, what I would do is hold those hands, put them inside your chest, and beat you repeatedly. This is absolutely terrible tactics. I'm tired of seeing this. And in this sense, sometimes also where people put their hands there because they're overconfident, which overconfidence is also arrogance, where you think that this perpetrator can't hurt you. I've said this often. Hold a 2-year-old baby, and if that 2-year-old baby by accident pokes you in the eye, that's going to hurt. So it doesn't matter the size of the perpetrator. You have to put yourself in a good position. This is absolutely terrible. This is terrible. So it's happening on duty, and then we wonder why it's happening off duty. Of course, on duty, there's no situational awareness. We're allowing people in our personal space. We forgot what it is just to be a normal human being. You should love yourself. What type of person are you? And I question the sergeant here. You don't want to protect yourself. You allow people in your personal space. This is absolutely terrible. And you know what? What's a shame about this, and I've said this often, and I hope I'm wrong, and I've said this for 3 years, we will lose an NYPD cop. An NYPD cop will lose their life to the hands of another without a firearm. It's as clear as day. And you know what's going to happen? If it does happen, that cop is going to be posthumously promoted to detective, not commissioner, to detective, and talk about how that person was a hero. No, if you let someone in your space and punch you in the face, you're not a hero. You're stupid. That is complete stupidity. You don't love yourself. You're not prepared. And there's absolutely no training. But even without training, you don't need training to know that that is your space and no one should enter it.
Yeah. I look at this and I keep thinking, whose stop is this? You know, whose stop is it? Is it the cops? I mean, because is anybody paying attention to this guy? He's like moving around. It seems to me like everyone's looking down right now, you know, and everyone. It seems to me also that their tactics are kind of they're kind of lackadaisical here, and they're waiting on the sergeant to do the work. And again, I asked the question of whose stop is it? And we talked about this before. I see it a lot. There's a tendency for young guys to now hang back and, you know, wait until the boss to come and play cop again when they're the boss and the sergeant. I said before, you're the coach, okay, and the cops are the point guards, okay. You got it. The cops got to play point guard, and you got to hang back and be coach, okay. And this stop is the cop's stop. This job is the cop's job. And why exactly is the sergeant? Why is he helicopter supervising right now? You know, this isn't good. And this creates that culture where eventually these cops are gonna become bosses themselves, and they're gonna do the same thing, and they're gonna wait for guidance from 1PP on down before they take decisive measures in certain situations. And this is not a good look. And it's not good for the police department when we remove decision making and autonomy from the ground level. There has to be some sense of autonomy and you know and agency at the bottom. Okay, I'm the cop. It's my stop. It's my job. Let me do my job. And sergeants, if that cop can't do the job, okay, then something has to happen. Maybe they need to go back retraining, or maybe ultimately they shouldn't be a cop, okay, because they have to make decisions on their own. They have to do the job that they're being paid to do.
I think there's a lot of things, right? There's a lot of things. One, the tactics on everybody here is horrible. Right? They're way too close to the guy. They're not even paying attention to him. Right? Everybody's not looking at him. Nobody's in a bladed stance, and they're right on top of him. If you're going to be right on top of someone, then that means you're controlling them. Right? You have your hands on them. That's it. That's the only reason you to be close to someone. Control them. Right? If like this sergeant and all the cops there gave themselves no space, no reaction time. Even if you were in a bladed stance with your hands up like this, like, sir, everything okay, sir? Let me talk to you here. Why are we doing this, right? Why are we doing this? Because if he throws a punch, I could step back, right? And my strong foot's back, right? So why? I could step back really quick, right? But even if that, I'm still keeping my distance. Whatever he's doing, if he's not listening to your orders, then you move in and you go hands-on on him. I mean, the sergeant could have died here. Like, this isn't a joke. He got smacked in the face real hard, hit real hard, and then went back and he could have potentially split his head open and died. It's happened before where people have died, not from the punch, but from the concrete that they hit as a result of the punch. So, you know, thankfully the sergeant was all right. But I think, you know, there's a lot of things that you're seeing. You're seeing cops not being cops, and you see sergeants not being sergeants. And I agree with you. There needs to be orders barked. There needs to be things told to the cops. But this is the culture that this NYPD has ingrained in them, really, since the training classes of de Blasio on. It's this culture that you don't do anything without the boss telling you to do it. And we were always trained the exact opposite. It's like the boss is only there. Like, you didn't even have to, like, your boss shouldn't, like, it was almost an embarrassment if your boss had to tell you something. You were telling your boss, oh, boss, I got one under over here. Oh, boss, this is what's going on. But you had that situation in control. You wouldn't put your sergeant in a bad spot where he would even get the chance, or a lieutenant or a captain, where they have ever had to deal with anybody. And you would have that situation under control. And the same way that the sergeant's going to tell the duty captain what happened is the same way that you're going to tell the sergeant what happened. Sarge, this is what we got here. We got a mail, blah, 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 blah. This, that, the other thing. He's under for this, XYZ. It's not an ask. And instead, everyone's standing around like, what do we do here? And again, I think, Eric, you nailed it. I think it's complacency. I think the hands in the vest are total complacency. You're on a foot post. You got your hand, you're holding it. You got your hand on your waist, whatever. You're dealing with a suspect? Absolutely not. Your hands up, your hands on your gun, your hands in front of you. There's no way. You talk to everybody. That's why the interview stance is important. What Pat Hendry does, what they trained them in his speaking classes, I think, where he's constantly like this, that's how you should be when you're talking to people. You should... And it should be in a distance manner. You know, you're not going up to this. This is an 80-year-old woman who's asking you for directions with your hands in your vest. This is an agitated suspect. What are you doing? You know, and what are all you doing? You know, and here's my thing. You know, today I see all these videos where it's clear, and I'm not sure it is here, but I see all these videos where it's clear the perp is under arrest, but yet they're not in handcuffs and they're standing around, realizing, given more time to realize that they're going to be placed in handcuffs at some point. It's like, no. Once you ascertain that person isn't under, I don't care what your rank is. They're under. Have a team with your plan. You have a plan with your team. Your team should know when you're going to move in, when you're going to arrest people. You should have code words to deal with people. Know when someone's a collar. Know when someone isn't. Know when someone's an EDP. Know when you're going to back off a situation, or know what you're going to do. It seems like everything's like, all right, well, we're going to figure this out. But it seems like, to me, like he was always under. That's why they were surrounding him. You know, and then if he was under and you were moving in to make the arrest like that, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? This ain't saving you from a CCRB. It's not saving you from anything. The guy could still file a CCRB right now, and you could all be found substantiated. It's not, none of this is saving you from anything. What you need to be concerned about on the scene, you are getting scrutinized 8 ways to Sunday. It does not matter. So get that out of your head. You're getting scrutinized. Everyone and your mother is going to scrutinize you and tell you what you could have did better, including your sergeant, including your lieutenant, including your CO. Everyone and their mother is going to tell you how you could do that job better. So get that out of your head. The only thing you should be concerned with is your safety, the safety of the cops, making sure you get home to your loved ones, to your kids, and you live to see another day. That should be your main concern. You're keeping yourself tactically safe while you're out in very dangerous streets, dealing with people who sometimes you don't know are very dangerous, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that the sergeant's okay though, but this should be a training video on exactly why you don't keep your hands on the vest.
Well, I'm glad he's okay too, but damn well he needs some real training, and he needs to wake the fuck up and realize that he could have got himself killed. Right? You're not a hero for putting yourself in that situation. You're damn stupid. And to that sergeant and to everyone else in the police department right now, you better get your asses up and go get yourself some damn training. You got to get yourself training. Modern Samurai says here, the cops are more worried about the laws against them in CCRB than they are about their own safety. While I agree with you, however, in their position, they haven't even gotten to a physical confrontation yet. So we're not even at that point. But they're not being aware of the situation. They're not protecting themselves. The first thing to self-defense is to defend yourself. You have a right to protect yourself. You should love yourself enough that you don't let people in your space. Stop with this laziness, holding your vest. To me, it's either laziness or arrogance. Put your hands in a position where you can protect yourself. I always say your face is your window. Don't let people in that window. in a bladed stance, protect yourself. I do it now. I'm not even a cop anymore. I've been retired over 3 years. If I talk to someone who I don't know, I talk to them sometimes with praying hands, or I talk to them with my hands like this, and it's called indexing. Here's another training tool to the cops out there. Your hands should always be higher than the person you're in encounter with. What does that mean? So if I'm having a conversation with someone, especially as a cop, and they're talking with their hands like most people do in New York City, especially Italians. Oh, is that racist, John? If you're talking to someone that's Italian and you're talking and they're using their hands, your hands should be up and higher. Why? Because of reaction time and because of control. If your hands are lower at your waist, and some people argue that their hands at their vest is higher, that's stupid if your hands are here. Because what I could do, if your hands are here in your vest, I could pin your hands and repeatedly punch you, and there's not much what you could do. And I don't care how strong you are, but it's based on structure and the positioning of your arms. Something you learn in jiu-jitsu, which is why I keep saying training. But even beyond that, just growing up in New York City, I have to question, where do these people grow up? That you don't have any sense of awareness, especially in a violent metropolis like New York City. And to your point, Marlon, while I agree, I disagree also. Yes, the cops are relying on the sergeant. However, if your sergeant has no tactics and unprepared like that, how do we expect the cops to have any tactics? Clearly, the sergeant should be the one also making an assessment. Hey, you guys don't have any tactics. Here's how you should be standing. He can't even have that conversation afterwards because he doesn't have any tactics himself. Why? Because we have cops through the de Blasio era and now into Eric Adams who never learned what it is to be a cop, who never learned any training. They were giving out coffee with a cop. They were giving out hugs and gestures far more than ever being cops. And that's the problem. We need warriors in the garden, not gardeners in war. And when you're on the streets in New York City, damn right, you're in battle. Every day you're in battle because you are wearing a target. You're wearing a target. They have no sense of awareness. And clearly, John, your assessment is 100% right. There's no doubt that they were either holding a suspect looking for potential weapons or actually about to make an arrest, because that's why that perpetrator or person of interest deployed a strike, because he was either going to jail or they were going to toss him and find an illegal firearm or something else. So, again, I said this for over 3 years, and I'm going to say it again. I hope I'm wrong. An NYPD cop will die and lose their life to the hands of another because there is no situation awareness and by the means without a firearm, and they're unprepared. And this cop is just lucky. Yes. Can someone die from being struck with a punch? Absolutely. As John said, you could fall, you could hit your head on a curb, or just the blow and the impact itself on your brain. If you've never been struck like that, you could die. Because when you get hit in the head like that, your brain gets knocked around. If you've never been hit like that before, you're not prepared for it. And even people who are prepared for it could die from it also, because these things don't come back to you. Every time you're struck in the head, it's almost like it makes it even more, it makes it easier for you to get knocked out cold. It's almost like a bank. You know, Joe Rogan talks about it. He says 100% the way he explains it. It's like a bank. And when you deposit money, you're not putting that money back. That's what happens when you get struck in the head. That cop could have lost his life. And I hope I'm wrong, but a cop will die by the hands of another if we don't stop what's happening. It's just getting worse and worse. And clearly, without tactics in New York City, you're talking about being scared of CCRB. You should be scared of you losing your life. And if you care anything about yourself and your loved ones, you'll actually listen to what we're saying, and instead being arrogant and saying screw those guys and saying, you know what, I need to change the way I approach things.
Yeah, no, it's and the other thing tactically that I hate, and it's because it was the way that I was trained, is I hate these vest carriers. They've normalized you wearing your vest on the outside. Yeah. And when I was a rookie, like if it was the winter time, and we used to wear the turtleneck sometimes, and sometimes I would put the vest over my turtleneck and then put my jacket up and zip my jacket, right? But sometimes you get lazy, right? It's like it's a midnight, or it's the thing, you unzip your jacket, or you walk in somewhere, it gets hot, and now your vest is exposed. All the older guys would always hit my vest. Yeah, I'm going to shoot you right in your fucking head. That's what they were telling me. I'm going to shoot you in your head. Because what they were saying is you were signaling where your body armor is. You're showing everyone. And what we were trained early on in the police department is that, like, everything in the game is mental, right? Like everything that you're going to do in life is mental. To where they showed us a video where a dude was reading a newspaper and somebody was going to shoot him, and he was taking the newspaper like it was a shield. And instead, the guy could have just shot right through the newspaper. But instead of shooting the newspaper, he's like going around it. So like you don't want anyone to know that if you're unprepared at that moment, where you're protected, right? Because more than likely that they're going to shoot at your chest because that's the widest target, right? That's where everybody's trained to shoot. Anybody that takes any training, trained to shoot center mass. So you don't want anybody knowing that you're wearing that vest. So I like for the majority of my career, the overwhelming majority of my career, after a couple of those interactions, if I wore the turtleneck, my vest was under the turtleneck. When I wore my shirt, my vest was under the shirt. It's uncomfortable. It sucks. I couldn't wear my medium shirts when I was doing anti-crime and my cargo shorts. So I would wear a medium shirt, the vest, and then I would get like a cut-off sweater or something and put it over to hide the vest. So I would always have like another layer on. And I think that's another important thing. And that'll really keep you from putting your hands in your vest because you can't do it. You know, you can't do it. And so like if you got a bad habit of doing that, or if you form that, the easiest way to do it, put your vest where it belongs, under your clothes. Like that, those vest carriers, I get it. They're easy. Some of them look cool. That tactically, I don't think they're a great thing. I really don't. I think we've normalized that, and that was something that was really, really frowned upon when I got on the job, you know. And now we just like tactics just continue to fall out the window, and no one's really speaking on it, man. No one's really talking about it.
Yeah. On that note, like I really think those vests are stupid, you know. And I have a huge pet peeve with those vests in law enforcement in general. Because it's not just us, but I see a lot of departments wear these stupid vests with like a whole bunch of crap on it, and I'm like, how is that tactical? You know, I mean, especially when you need to be nimble sometimes, and you need to be able to have a free hands and not your movement being obstructed by all the stuff in the front of you.
Yeah,
I
but
just think
for like ESU, it's good, but for patrol.
Yeah. Exactly. It's stupid and Buffy. It's like you look like what are you gonna invade Iraq? You know, it's stupid. You need to be able to be nimble and be able to move and have a free hand sometimes. And you don't want to have all the stuff on you that perps could easily like be able to grasp at you. And if your vest is now exposed, to me, it's just another thing the perp could grab onto you. Okay, when you should have everything more tightly, you know, against your body. So I have a huge pet peeve with that. I also have a pet peeve with the hats, as I've mentioned before, because I think it's absolutely stupid to be wearing those 8-point hats on patrol. Okay, and it's stupid when you're trying to do a vertical in a building and you need complete sight of going up those steps to, especially if you're going after a perp and you have your firearm extended, it's a problem. It's a major problem. Those hats should be ceremonial use only. But again, my thing about the sergeant hat was that this job is too reliant on bosses being like also being the training officer. Okay, I think if these guys are rookies and the boss is like, you know, he's their supervisor, and he's doing a little training himself, you know, that shouldn't be. There should be a older officer there, and which is why again we should have a corporal rank in the NYPD to incentivize guys with a lot of time on and a lot of knowledge to remain there and become FTOs and train these guys. Okay, instead of enriching Eric Adams' cronies, right? Here's a wild suggestion. Maybe instead of enriching Eric Adams' cronies, okay, maybe we should create an additional rank where we're incentivizing senior cops to impart their knowledge onto the younger guys and to remain in the precincts. Okay, but you know, that I guess maybe that's too much common sense. I just think that again, the boss should be a boss, and these cops should be allowed to become cops. And when I was on patrol, I said before, I don't want the boss showing up to my job because I had a bad experience when I was a rookie and I didn't know better. and I had to take in the precinct like a 70-something-year-old guy. I couldn't even handcuff the guy, because he was old. But the sergeant, the sergeant who basically just got off impact in Staten Island, he had no patrol experience. He literally got off impact and became a boss. Okay, so he to me, he having that bad example made me realize that I need to figure out this job on my own before I call the boss. I'm only calling the boss unless I have to, and I'm only calling him to my job unless I have to. Okay. Otherwise, I'm calling him and telling him, "Hey, boss, I got this and this and this and this," and he's like, "Okay, bring him in, Marlon." So I think cops need to be able to make decisions on their own and be cops themselves without a boss telling them, what helicopter supervising. So
Now, what I find extremely frustrating about this, I'm not expecting cops to train as much as I do. I train 7 days a week, and I compete. It's been a while since I competed, but I was competing a lot in jiu-jitsu and in MMA. And then I'm not asking the cops to dedicate that kind of time, right? I'm competing with other people that are trained jiu-jitsu and other people that are trained MMA and other people that are trained boxing. And a lot of times the cops' excuses are, well, they don't have time to train. Well, you don't need that kind of time. I'm not asking the cops to train to be able to handle an MMA fighter, someone who's a professional or a professional boxer. The majority, I would say, most encounters are with people that are untrained. So it just takes a little bit of training. Are there some people that are trained that you may have to deal with? Yes, but it's far and few happening in between. Far and few. The likelihood of you dealing with a professional fighter is not likely. Most professional fighters, the reason the word is professional there, are professionals. And they're not fighting with just people in the street, right? They have a reputation to hold. They're part of a business. Most professional fighters, but you're mostly dealing with people that are untrained. So it just takes a little training to have that edge. So I don't want to hear more excuses. You have to go out and get a little training to prepare yourself for someone who is untrained. These people that are deploying these strikes time and time again, I watch these videos, and 99 times out of 100, it's this whooping right-handed hook by an untrained person, which is exactly what happened here. And with a little training, maybe 1 day a week of Krav Maga and 1 day of jiu-jitsu, you can prepare yourself, and some tactics with the police department of how to stand, how to prepare, how to be observant of your situation awareness would be suffice and be enough. But we're not doing any of that. And also clouded by this idea that CCRB and all this oversight is going to stop you from protecting yourself. Now, yes, that oversight may impede you on when you have to take action. But when just in a stance where you're in an encounter where we haven't even crossed that threshold of actually a physical confrontation yet, and you're not protecting yourself, raises a lot of questions. What type of person are you? Are you prepared for this job? Are you meant for this job? Do you actually care about yourself? Do you have those traits that you have the potential to care about yourself? Or are these people just completely meek, timid, and docile? And I think the majority of them are exactly that. Meek, timid, and docile. I mean, look at this cop, this sergeant, that fell to the ground by a strike. I mean, and then yet the partners, not one of them stepped in to grab this perpetrator. There's no sense of awareness and sense of warrior spirit in these cops. I know damn well if someone knocked my partner out, that'd be the last time they ever raised their hands. That's the last time. So this idea that's about oversight, come on. These cops are not prepared. They just don't have it in them.
It's I don't know, Bear. It's a deadly game. My friend Diane Pagan's on here, teacher who was wrongfully terminated by the Eric Adams administration for refusal to take the vaccine. She even says it too, like she wouldn't stand that close to anybody. She knows not to be that close to people. So I totally agree. I totally agree. It's I agree with you. But look, training is a form of white supremacy. Working out is a form of white supremacy. So we have to be real that asking cops to be able to do any of this stuff is actually racist. And so what you're hearing is the bias come out of Eric.
G2 training. Hey, George, thank you so much, brother. He says, Eric, they're not like George. Thank you. I mean, George is constantly training in retirement, taking care of himself. Again, I think I'm making a fair assessment, and I think George would agree. I'm not asking these cops. They work 12 hours a day. Their families take care. I'm not asking them to train 5-7 days a week. You don't have that time. But twice a week, 1 day combatives, where you learn that maybe someone, if they pull out a knife or a gun, and 1 day doing jujitsu or boxing, just so that you understand timing and distance. And these are skills that are peril. And people think, well, once you do it, well, I don't have to do it. I did in the academy. No, these skills, they peril. If I stop training for 2 years, I will lose my timing. I'll lose the understanding of distance. These are things that you have to constantly do, just like your brain has to constantly work. You have to constantly be engaged. You're a cop, for God's sake. You're out there dealing with people that want to kill you. And you can't find 2 days a week to train an hour apiece on how to protect yourself? Shame on you. I'm sorry. Thank God that sergeant's alive. I wish you well. I would love to train you and help you. But if, God forbid, you lost your life, I wouldn't want to be masking it and have a parade and talk about how great you are and the hero you are. No, I'm sorry. You're not a hero, and I hope I don't sound like an asshole. You're not a hero. You put yourself in a bad spot. You allowed this perpetrator to get leverage on you and punch you in the face because you didn't care about yourself to make sure that you were aware or stand in a proper stance. I can't award that. And I'm sure, unfortunately, if this sergeant lost his life, there would be a huge parade. Everybody talk about how great they are and mask another failed encounter. That's a failed encounter. That's what that is.
Serious question. If you can't run 1.5 miles in 15 minutes, how long do you think? So we'll take two people. They can't run 1.5 miles, either of them, in 15 minutes, which is abysmal cardiovascularly. How long do you think them two putting together in a jiu-jitsu ring wrestling actually last? Like where before they're completely winded.
Yeah. If you're in your early 20s and you can't do 1.5 miles, then what's going to happen to you by the time you hit, your mid 30s, your early 40s, when you may be right about retirement age, and they're still going to put you out on a detail, on a football, in transit somewhere, and you're not going to be physically fit or capable to God forbid, you got to get into a scuffle with a perp,
Well, let's just say this, right? I mean, boxers, when they prepare for a fight, they call it road work, right? And so for each minute of competition that you're actually fighting, you need thousands of hours of training, and you need to run for each minute, you need to run about 90 hours worth. 90 hours. Far more than 1.5 miles for 1 minute. 1 minute in a boxing ring, and where your life is not on the line. Have people died before from boxing? Yeah, but it's very rare. We're talking about a police officer on the street with an encounter with someone they don't know. Boxing, even MMA, all this stuff. This is different, right? If I do jiu-jitsu, I'm competing with someone, right, on a mat, on a rubber mat. And there's referees to make sure that we're not hitting a wall, getting hurt. And it's mutual, right? And there's a time someone says when it ends, you're on the street. Your life is on the line. There's no referee to tell you what time it ends. You can hit your head on a curb. You can hit on a car. Your life is on the line. This is not a competition. We're talking about your life. So you don't want to get any training? Shame on you. Tex farts and says, what type of martial art teaches you to subdue someone with touching them above the shoulders? I don't even know what you're talking about. I have no idea what that question is. If you can rephrase it.
I think he's trying to.
I think he's
trying to. Yeah, he's talking about the diaphragm law. Like what train? There is no fucking.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
There is no training. But are you going to die? It's like, well, I don't want to violate I'd rather die than violate the diaphragm law. Like,
gotcha.
I'd rather die. I'd rather someone kill me than I violate the I don't think you should go out there with that mindset. I think it should be the exact opposite. But like seriously, like if you can't run 1.5 miles, like Because the reason I'm asking in jiu-jitsu, because I George answer, he says he thinks they'll last about 20 seconds. Someone said 5 minutes. There is no way in hell you're lasting 5 minutes if you can't run a mile and a half in a fight. You're giving up 30 seconds in. We're talking a boxing ring when your adrenaline's flowing, punches are getting thrown at you. You got about 30 seconds.
Is that
real
long?
life on the street? You don't stand a chance. So, like, the argument against a mile and a half run is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It's a condition of employment that's preset. They didn't just throw it in on you and say, "Oh yeah, and you have to put this in your body, even though you have antibodies for it." No, it's not like that at all. It's like, if you want to do the job, here's the minimal amount of requirement we have for you. You can't be on drugs. You can't have a drug test. You can't have really bad criminal history. You could have some criminal history, and you have to have like the slightest amount of cardiovascular shape, and that's about what a mile and a half in 15 minutes is. It's like the bare minimum. Like, and if you can't do that, you have no business going out here in the streets, because you're just completely untrained and unprepared, and you'll last about 30 seconds, and you're not only a danger to the citizens of New York City, but you're a danger to your own partners, because everywhere you go, you're bringing a gun, and if you can't protect yourself, you can't protect that gun, and that brings a gun into the situation, and that's a gun that could get taken. And I had a sergeant that didn't like me, so he stuck me on the ferry with this kid. He was about 5 feet tall, didn't speak any English. And he had a gun, and I would have to ride the ferry for a half hour each way, back and forth, right? And I was like, look, I don't mind that I'm with him, but I don't want his gun with him. He shouldn't have a gun, because his gun's going to get me killed, because I got to take a half-hour ride there, half-hour ride back. Anything goes on, there's no way I can protect myself and protect his gun. And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't do a mile and a half run. You can't protect yourself. You can't protect your gun. You can't protect citizens. You're a danger to the department. So, I know Eric is pushing this racist form of training here, but I mean, I think it's wrong. And, I just want to be the first to say I don't align with this. And this is racial narrative control here, is what you're saying. And Sleepy Joe could feel the oppression as he ran down the FDR Drive.
You felt it? That's hilarious. O'Brien Ortega 6942 says, I think BJJ is overrated. Now, listen, I think you're absolutely wrong. I don't think BJJ is overrated, but I think it's an ingredient. It's an ingredient to training. As a cop, there's specific things that you need to train. You need to train boxing, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu, and Krav Maga. Why? Because you need to be able to understand timing and distance when you're standing with someone. You need to understand wrestling to know how to take someone down to the ground. And jiu-jitsu will help you if you are on the ground, how to get up. You don't want to be on the ground with someone. So yes, I don't want you rolling on the ground trying to do jiu-jitsu, but I want you to understand it so you can get up. Now, I do jiu-jitsu because I'm competing, and I don't have to worry about being on the ground with a gun. So there's different aspects for it. But however, if you do train jiu-jitsu with an untrained person, you do have the advantage. In UFC, what you're thinking about when you watch UFC, everyone trains jiu-jitsu now, and everyone trains wrestling. They train all disciplines. So if someone is a specialist in jiu-jitsu and they lack in strike in other areas, well, they're not going to do well. But we're talking about being a police officer. As a police officer, you need, most important before any of this type of training, is self-defense. And just as simple as that, it's mindset and just situational awareness. Not let people in your space. That's the first thing it starts. You should be physically fit. You should be working out in the gym or doing yoga or something that your body's physically fit. You should have a good mindset and not let people in your space. And to what we're talking about, the diaphragm law, yeah, you're right. It does hurt the cops being in that diaphragm law. But when they're standing in that position, we're far beyond the diaphragm law, that they're just not aware of their surroundings. They're not aware that, hey, and maybe they have this idea. Maybe some of the people that are getting on the job have this idea, because I wear this uniform, no one will hurt me. No, they don't give a shit what you're wearing. They don't care if you're wearing that uniform. They don't care if you have 4 stars. They don't care what that is. You are a cop. You're a target. You're getting in their way. You're trying to take their life from them by arresting them. You're an obstacle, and they'll take that obstacle out. And if you let them, they will. They will. And as simple as it was, we used to make fun of it, right? The interview stance. That shit works. It's simple, but it works. You don't have to be John Jones to understand that I need to be bladed to have less of a target, to protect my firearm, and keep my hands up so that someone doesn't punch me in the face. Do you need a lot of training for that, John? What do you think? Is that racist?
I think so, yeah. And look, guys, we got to tone down the racist comments in the chat. Here's another one I have to call out because you guys are just, the white supremacy in here it has to stop. All right. So here's a racist comment. How come Holmes demanded to end the 1.5-mile run? She didn't replace it with a series of time sprints, since according to Eric Sanders, short sprints are more acceptable to patrol. I mean, look, like I said, working out's white supremacy. Sprints is a form of working out. Sprints actually raise and boost your testosterone at a very high level. Like if you go out right now and you just run like 6 20-second sprints, let me know how you feel later. You're going to feel unbelievable. You're going to be stronger. Your workout's going to be better. You're going to be strong like bull, but it's a form of racism.
Strong like bull?
It targets black and brown people. That's, it's not that the 1.5 run is wrong. It's that it's only in place to target black and brown people who excel at doing runs. Running long distance, running sprints, being in the NFL, being in the NBA. So, we're not gonna accept this form of racism on here. So I condemn you, Pat Donahue.
What do you think is the reaction of the upper echelon to this cop getting punched in the face? Do you think they're gonna say? Do you think he's gonna get transferred, promoted? Do you think anyone's gonna say, "Let's get this kid some training"? What do you think? Let's be honest. What do you think they're going to do? We know what they should do. What do you think they will do?
Promote him for using restraint. They're going to say, oh, these officers use restraint. Yeah.
Exactly. That's typically the reaction, right? Oh, he used restraint. Let's get him let's promote him. Let's get him in another unit. He'll probably get special assignment for getting punched in the face, getting knocked out. I mean, we are rewarding people for failing at their job. I'm not trying to sound insensitive, but think about it. If you went to work in a corporate business and you failed your job, they would terminate you. In the NYPD, part of your job is to be able to handle a physical confrontation or what may end up as a physical confrontation. In my opinion, I hate to say it, and I don't want to sound insensitive, he failed. He failed himself. He failed his team. Why? Because once he was attacked, he just put that team in a position where they lost their eyes on the perpetrator, and they went to help him. So the whole mission went to shit. I feel sorry for him, but I don't think we should be rewarding it, and I'm sure they will. What they should be saying is, you need some damn training, and they're not giving them training. I mean, how do we get to a point that we allow people in New York City in their space? I mean, where do they think they work? At Disneyland? Yeah. I just don't get it. Please tell me what I'm missing here. I don't understand. I would never let someone in my space like that, on duty, off duty, retired, before the job, and I would sure as hell let my cops. How are these cops? I don't get it. How are they letting this person throw a right-handed hook in your face? Please tell me.
Yeah. How do you have a guy in a stop and he's moving around and doing whatever? How many videos have we seen? Even like all these stops and the perp is like moving around, doing whatever. You're even looking at a perp and he's visibly looking around, waiting on that opportunity to run. And we see guys just standing around there. I mean, if it's a stop, okay, the guy should be in an uncomfortable position so that you're taking away that opportunity from him to fight you or run. And these guys just they have like these lackadaisical stops. I think it's even beyond, say, getting training. I think it's just being in a tactical mindset, and these guys are just not in it. And to me, it's like, are they not taking this job seriously? Is the job not imparting it to them that they could get killed here? Okay, that you have to constantly be thinking tactics. Okay, and I think that is the bigger issue. We become just the core mission is no longer there. Okay, we've forgotten about it, that we're a police department, and they want to make us into like some social advocacy group, organization, or a community organization. And we're the police. You could get killed any day doing your job. You have to constantly think, is this guy going to do something? you have to constantly be in that mind frame of tactics, and I'm just not seeing it here.
And John Buton weighed in a couple of times. He said that, you know, he brought back to when like your sergeant came there, like the perpetrator was already in handcuffs. Like by the time his sergeant got there, like
True.
you were just holding him, like he was just
True.
coming there to verify it. And he says he also brings up no one cuffs for safety anymore. It's totally okay to cuff for safety. They're just not taught this. And what he's saying is like you get on the scene, there's a dude there, he's jittery, you don't know what's going on, and you're like, something's not right here. I'm putting this dude in handcuffs. You're not under arrest right now, but you're being detained. You're not under arrest, but you're being detained. We're figuring out what's going on. We're going to conduct a short-term investigation. Just calm down. That person's in handcuffs. You're holding them. Figure out what's going on. Slow the whole roll down. That dude's jittery. That dude looks like he wants to run. You haven't figured out why he wants to run? Cuff him. Make him sit on the sidewalk. Make him sit somewhere. Or just cuff him and hold him. The other thing that I see consistently, and I was a stickler for this, and I knew I did my job because I would show up to, when I would show up to jobs, you would just hear all the cops going, hold them, hold them, hold them. Because I would flip out. Like, what do you want? Salad tongs? Did you forget your salad tongs today? Put your hand and hold your perp when they're cuffed. You hold on to them. That guy is my paycheck. He's my pension. Wherever you go, I'm going. You ain't going nowhere, then I ain't going. You're not running down the block cuffed away. You're not doing anything. Wherever you go, I go. Once we, you know, and that has to be trained back in, you know, that 100%, that those are non-negotiables in law enforcement. And like, again, just on the 1.5 mile run, I know that there are supposedly departments that dropped it, but those departments have physical standards that you have to upkeep each year. So it's completely, totally different. And their training regimen and their skills test to get on the job is much harder than the NYPD's. So it's, you can't even compare that. You know why they're not running the 1.5 mile run? Because the 1.5 mile run's a joke. They're doing that warming up for their workouts before the thing. There's no requirement for it, because the requirement is you have to have X amount of body fat. You have to be able to do this. You have to be able to complete that. You have to be able to complete that. And if you can't run a 1.5 mile run, you sure certainly are not going to be on that department. You know, that's why they don't do the 1.5 mile run, because people make like it's a big deal when it's like, it really isn't. It really isn't. You know, it's not this a sticking point for people. It's just not. Anything else on the tactics? I know Eric Adams got a big day today. Him and Jessica Tisch, they're going to give the keys to the city to the $180 million violence intervention scam, fraud, right? I know some people don't like the word scam, fraud, but like, you know, it's important to know exactly what's happening here. It's a grift. It's a graft of public safety. It's giving money to people to do the job of the police, but they don't actually do the job of the police. And it's kind of just like playing fairy tales. So anything else on this before we start to do
the violence interrupter program wasn't a success? I mean, look at all the beautiful things they've done.
It's my implicit bias, Eric.
That's what it is. You need another course on implicit bias, so they can tell you that you have biases in you that you don't even know about. Can't call right. Stephen S. says it. Scam, fraud, grift. No, can't say these words. Let's talk about what's going on. I love it. Let's complain about what's going on in the police department. Let's talk about this administration. But John, we can't say it out loud. That's why we're bad. You're allowed to think it, John. You can think all these things, but you can't say it out loud. Ooh, those guys, the same stuff that we say in the locker room where we don't want anybody to hear us. They're saying it out loud. Ooh, those guys are bad. That's why the police department wanted to come after you. See, you guys should have known better. We should have shut our mouths. That's what we should have done.
No, it's okay. We could go after Mondani. I don't know. Maybe we can't. Maybe we can't. We could criticize de Blasio. We could certainly criticize Giuliani, but we can't criticize anybody else. You know, I got it. You know.
Yeah, man. Mondani's a brown guy. You can't criticize him, John.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. Sorry, Zoran.
Yeah, and then you got this idiot here. I don't know who is it. Nin311 said
Nin just appeared today.
Yeah.
Nin just appeared today. Nin, I wonder who you really are, Nin. Could you read law?
Yeah, could he? I don't know. He said I was out there being a violent dickhead. So because I went home with all 10 fingers and toes and targeted by a CCRB leading special operations South Bronx, and all my men are safe. Oh, so we should be out there getting knocked out cold. That's what you're saying. That has failed. If the cops are getting knocked out cold, guess what? That means they can't protect the civilians in the street. That's what it means. And I'm not knocking this sergeant because I want to laugh at him. No, I want better. And to that sergeant, you deserve better. You deserve a right to defend yourself. Go out there and get some training. You got to get some training. Unfortunately, you failed. And it's not to hurt you, but you have to take this opportunity. If you say those guys are knocking me, no, you have to do better. Now, can someone be punched in the face? Sure, I've been punched in the face. If you're already in a physical confrontation trying to take someone down, you could get punched in the face in that struggle. But to allow someone to punch you in the face when you're standing in an encounter where it could be avoided is a huge problem. A huge problem. So I hope that you take this opportunity to the sergeant and to the other people in the department that are unsure about their tactics. It's time to go out and train. And if you take this as an insult or you say you just don't have time for training, well, shame on you. You know what? They say when you eat meat, cut the fat out. You know what? Cut something out in your life to make room for that. Make room because you care about yourself. I mean, find some training, something. An hour, all I'm telling you is twice a week, an hour a piece. Is that too much? If you can't find time for that, I'm sure if you're sitting there watching TV for a couple hours a week, you can replace it with some training to protect you on duty. And somebody say, oh, well, I don't care. I just don't do anything at work. Well, apparently you need to be training on duty and off duty because we got cops getting robbed and attacked at an alarming rate. So, yes, you do need training.
All right. Before we get to the super chats, let's Ron sent this. This is where he is in North Carolina. He said to calm down, and this will relax us. So,
Is it
Marlon, you
like
got
very
anything else before we get to bring it in?
Yeah, shout out to Inspector Lease and then Chief Lukash. The executive perspective guys will be back in a week, but still check it out on Wednesday because we have the first interview of Chief Lukash is going to be airing. So check it out.
Yeah, listen.
It took 2 weeks off, those guys. Oh,
yeah, that pitch is very zen.
We could criticize them. It's okay. They're white executives. We're allowed to.
Yeah. Hey,
they're using all their vacation time at once. You know?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Robert,
Zero work ethic.
Who approved those 28s? Who approved those 28s for you to go out there in the mountains, huh? That's a very zen look there, Ron. Look at that.
So, well, anything before we hit the super chats?
Oh, one last thing, Hunter. Shout out to the LAPD, you know, because Hunter brings up this point about the LAPD corporal. I think they have it the right way. And I've talked to Stephen S. before, and he tells me that their agency is on its downslope as well, which is, again, it's sad that two of the greatest law enforcement agencies in this country are both headed in the wrong directions. But, you know, I always mention LAPD because I always thought they were sharp. And even after becoming an NYPD cop, I always thought LAPD had the tactics, and they were much sharper than we are. So,
yeah. Nincompoop says, must be nice having a pension while you complain regularly on the internet. Least likable morons I ever heard. Yet you sat here the whole show with us for 3 hours. Thank you. Thank you for being a friend. We appreciate it.
I just want to say to Nin 31191, whatever it is, to this loser, I want to thank them. Thank you. It knocks us, but sits here the entire time watching the show. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. We're going to be on Wednesday also, Nin. So if you want to come back and watch another one, we'll be back Wednesday. Thank you for being a fan, brother. I love my trolls. Love them.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very curious. He just came on today. Weird one to come on to. Whatever. It is what it is. You know, so
let's get the coffee and donuts.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, let's do this. All right. G2 Training, check them out. And also check out the key. George Misfud, he says, good morning, men. Hope you had a great Christmas. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Have a safe and healthy and happy new year. Same to you. We wish you and your family all the best. Much prosperous and health and happiness in 2026. Esther Change 413 gave a big donation. Thank you, Esther. We appreciate it. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We hope you have a happy new year. It's told to you so back when Mondani hired John as DOI commissioner. I'll last about 3 weeks, maybe. maybe, because I think once I start getting all the grifters out of DOI and moving them back to the agencies that they actually belong in, I think that'll be a problem. And then once people get actual fair evaluations where they get the one that they deserve, I don't think I'll last too long. So I'll be like, oh, you guys were all here during the Eric Adams administration. Great. Yeah, I'm bringing in all new people, and you're all being sidelined out of the investigations. You get to handle these shit ones. Here you go. Because I can't trust any of you. So I don't think it's a good idea, Zoran. But if you offer, I'm bored now. And hey, I could just go back and get my NYPD pension too, right? I could just do that, right? I get a huge pension, a $300,000 raise. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Maybe, John, maybe you'll get the 3/4 because if you take Donnie, you add 645 divided by 1352, add it to 11, you get 3/4.
Told you so back when. Sly over the top trucker hat. Turn it around. I'm just freezing. That's the only reason I'm wearing a hat. I wanted to be like Marlon and Eric today. I'm not used to this cold weather. Hardcore X, baby. Huge one. Thank you, Hardcore X. He says, thank you, John, Eric, and Marlon for standing on business all day, every day. Yeah, no, we appreciate it. We really do.
Hardcore's been hitting us hard, man. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, man. Very generous, dude. It's told to you so back when. Eric Sanders, come on the show. You scared? Yeah, I mean, look here again. I think we spoke about it all. We welcome everybody on the platform. We give everybody a voice. We give everybody a place to speak to our audience. But you're not gonna go out and shit all over us and then think you're gonna speak to our audience without confronting the things that you claimed about us. So that's just that simple, and you would never part. We just share it with everybody. So let's get that straight. Hardcore X again. Wow. So it gives another $100. He says, once the finest podcast hits on the pension scam and so-called friends of the podcast show their true color to protect the racket they are a part of. Look, I just think people pretend to be part of this that aren't, and I think that, I think, well, it is what it is. People got friends on the job. We have friends on the job. Corey Pegues came on here. He said there were things he wasn't willing to talk about. You know what? I respect that. He's not trying to run cover for anything. He's like, I'm just not talking about it. Those are my people. Okay, fair enough. But he's not denying it, and he's not throwing shade at the things we're talking about either. He's just like, those are my people. I'm not talking about it. I don't care what they did. I support them, whatever they did. I don't care. You're entitled to your opinion, but I'm not getting involved in it. And I respect that more than you trying to attack us over because you feel some type of loyalty or you feel some way about it. We're not saying anything differently than Eric Sanders hasn't been saying. So,
okay. With that said, we're also the finest unfiltered. Okay. And we're going to talk about it. Okay. And that's who we are. Okay. So,
yeah. And if we didn't, we wouldn't be unfiltered anymore. That's the bottom line.
Yep.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I want to thank Hardcore, who's been hitting us hard. Thank you so much for giving us your variable supplement this month. We appreciate it.
And then it's told to you back when. He said, Marlon, get a job as a janitor, do it for 4 years. Right? Like that's kind of what but again, that's not the case. That there'll be all rules and regulations while they'll say he can't contribute to his police pension. So I mean, it's a joke. It's like literally the same dude, Molina, who's telling you they can't rehire him back as a cop and put him in the pension system. Is not even on the NYPD, and he's back in the pension system. It's like, wait, time out here. Something's not right. Something's not right. City of New York's not responding for it, but Eric Sanders and Joel Ramirez are pointing to a law that doesn't say a fucking thing about any of that. Okay, got it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, a little strange that.
Listen, I just want to mention one thing also. I forgot to mention, since we're talking about training, Big Dick Ballistics. If you need good firearms training, make sure you reach out to Big Dick Ballistics. He's a great friend to this network. So you need training, for physical confrontations, but you also need to train how to protect your firearm and use your firearm. So reach out to Big Dick Ballistics. Great guy. If you need to get in shape, reach out to G2. You need training. We all do.
Yep, absolutely. Big fan of Big Dick Ballistics. Check out that YouTube channel. I think it's Big D Ballistics, if I'm not mistaken, and that's the name of the
Oh,
company.
yeah, it's Big D. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
When I
because
say
New
Big
York
Dick,
State doesn't allow you to put the word dick in it. So it's Big D Ballistics. You know.
oh, shit, sorry.
But he's got a
listen,
good
by the way,
YouTube channel too, and I actually do go to it, and he does reviews on guns and on equipment for guns. It really great channel. And so yeah, if you need any training, you need to do your HR 218, you need any of that stuff, check him out. You know, tell him Finest Unfiltered sent you.
And Pat Donahue, by the way, he said, Eric, would you spoon? Oh, you didn't even give coffee and donuts and you want a spoon. Come on, man.
But to be fair, Pat was trying. He was trying.
That's true. That's true. I would
he was
spoon.
trying
Wants to go to second base already, man. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I'll take some sloppy seconds.
Told you back when, says Eric Sanders, persona non grata. Look, I don't think any of us hold grudges. I mean, it's just the bottom line is we're going to defend ourselves when we're attacked. We're going to defend ourselves when we're being told we're spreading information. We're going to defend ourselves when we're being told that we're racist. Like, again, I didn't say he's not welcome on the platform. I said you're going to come on here and tell everybody why you call us a racist and why we're spreading misinformation, and you're going to own up to the things that you said about us, or you're not coming on the platform. That, you know, so I don't hold a personal grudge. I just, if you're gonna hit, we hit back. That's it. You know, get ready for it. You know, we don't hide behind the color of our skin, and we ain't gonna back down because of the color of anyone else's skin. So it don't matter.
Joseph Quinones says, I think everyone should share their variable, Eric. Yeah, I think this month it's not coffee and donuts, it's variable supplements. So if anybody wants to give us a variable supplement, we'll take it.
Yeah. Crazy 10-7. The worst of the worst manage the NYPD. Losers who have no business anywhere but collecting civil service welfare. Any other time, the best they could hope for is mail clerk at the welfare department. Truth. I mean, look, we see a lot of highly incompetent people. There was an interview of John Shell and Tariq Shepard. It's on X. I shared a clip of it, I think, on my social media. Check out that interview. It is absolutely hysterical. The two guys that oversaw the largest police exodus are worried about the exodus that's going to occur under Zohran Mamdani. The largest exodus of police in New York City history because of their incompetence, because of their ineptability, their lack of leadership, their egos. Them too. They're on there talking about Zohran Mamdani and the exodus. Like, you better hope there's an exodus so that in the history books, you guys are only the second worst NYPD administration ever. Because right now you're sitting up there at number one and there's no clear number two. Right? So you better hope Mamdani does a great job. That's what they're hoping for. But to go out there, these guys have no shame. And again, we walk through their website. They can't even manage to get a basic website built that doesn't have any features. Like that's how incompetent, that's how lazy, and no business running this department. And we all saw what they did when they ran that department. Absolute joke. I don't care what your media contacts, whose ass you kissed, who likes you, who doesn't. You're a loser. You're another one that'll never come on this show. And tender hands Tariq either, because you're cowards. That's why. Jonathan Fredericks, I was denied. It wasn't worth fighting for or going under the knife again. The 3/4 scam bothers me less than the separation from the department and still having a pension clock still ticking. I think it all bothers me, right? It all bothers me. You talk about public safety, you talk about integrity, you talk about all this, and the people in leadership have none of what they preach. They hold you to an impossible standard, and they hold themselves to no standard. So it's like it's horrific to watch. And what's even worse is horrific to watch is the apathy amongst the people that they're literally taking money out of their mouths, taking money out of your kids' mouths. And you're not saying nothing about it? Like, really? Oh, no, good for them. Good for them. It's like, no.
Listen,
maybe for you, but not for the rest of us.
We showed it's a tiered system, right? You take 645 divided by 1352 and 211, you get 3/4. If you're Marlon, divide all those numbers, you get terminated. So we showed you there's a tiered system, right? Marlon, I'm serious. You should go right now and tell them, I want to apply to sweep a fucking broom. Maybe you could be a cleaner at the NYPD. You know those cleaners? I think they make $10 an hour. And after 4 years, get a uniform pension. Apparently, I mean, if this is the law, why can't Marlon do it? Become a cleaner, sweep the broom,
No, Molina is a great guy. He's going to put the law together now. They forgot to vote on it, though, so it fell into the Mandani's administration. They forgot to vote on the law that basically stripped Marlon of his pension anyway, and just was like, yeah, you're a sucker. You could come back and work, but, you're not really entitled to anything, and, there's no money in there for you, and you're just going to have to do a whole nother 20 years over, but great guy, but he came back, not to the police department, and yet somehow he's retiring from the police department. Let's not talk about that, though, because he's a nice guy. And he's got dark skin, so we don't want to, he's got darker skin. He doesn't have really much darker skin than me or Marlon, but we're still not allowed to talk about it for whatever reason. I don't know, because that just because racist,
Yeah, I love the selling tool. Like, hey, if people ask me, what? I'm looking for a civilian job right now in New York City. Why? Because I want to get another uniform pension.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we're saying.
Yeah. If you guys in the pension fund, your unions, Tish, you guys, we know you're watching this, okay? So you can best believe that I will be following up with the pension fund as well about this, and other terminated city workers will be using this as well. So thank you for putting this on the table for us.
Absolutely, right. This is a question: can you be reinstated or not? You don't need to be reinstated. All you need to do is be hired as a civilian. And you get all the same amenities. Apparently, you could buy it back with 5% interest, and that's it. And Marlon, you know what, Marlon, wait 5 years from now. Actually, wait 10 years, and tell him for the past 10 years, I've been working for the Finance Unfiltered. I got a job sweeping a broom for a year, and I want a 30-year pension.
Yep.
Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't get it. But I'll tell you, if it's not corrected, I'm running for mayor the next election cycle, and don't worry, Marlon, you're good. We're going to get back, and you're going to get all the back pay and all that other stuff. So
yeah, put me in too. I want to sweep a broom for like 6 months.
You're good too. Yeah, you'll go. Your pension reopens, everything. We're gonna run it all, and then you're gonna post every day online and put your fist in the air and say it's our time now, as you promote all your friends ranks above ranks, and watch and throw them on TV so everyone can see that they're a fucking moron and can't put two sentences together, and then watch them run around in all heavily embroidered equipment. And then, numerous sex scandals come flying out, numerous corruption scandals. You have your brother, give your brother a department call so you could go around, shake down businesses. And then, we do all this stuff. It's good. Straw donut scams, running the votes back and forth.
Oh, you said that word scam. Slow down. Let's not use that word.
That indictment was all totally political. That was because it was.
You know what I want, John? I just want a shirt that when I'm commissioner that says never a captain. Like, you're damn right. Never a captain. I'm a commissioner of sanitation. I'm retired from the NYPD. What? Could you imagine telling someone that doesn't know the NYPD from, let's say, another country and go, hey, listen, I got great news. I worked for the NYPD for 10 years. No, actually, I retired from the NYPD, and I'm getting a job working in sanitation so I can get another pension from the NYPD. Like, what? What?
Yeah. And then we're gonna audit the pension system, and we're gonna send a bill to a lot of people, and there's gonna be a lot of big deductions coming you guys' way. So so it's either you correct it now and get ahead of it, or you audit it, or you answer up for it. It ain't going away because, like I said, every month it gets paid out again. So is what it is. You had no problem taking our pension. You had no problem diminishing us. You had no problem throwing us out of city service. I don't fucking feel bad for any of you. I really don't.
Me either.
I don't feel bad for any of you. Fucking greedy.
I don't feel bad for any of them. This same police department, that's right, made the PSA 7 cops in uniform to attend Derek's funeral. They had to do a 49 to the chief of department's office. So you know what? I feel for them. Nothing. I got ice in my veins right now for them.
Oh yeah. And they covered up a sergeant threatening our kids, made sure he wasn't arrested. Covered up all the fucking bullshit that came out of the top-down administration. Didn't investigate any of it. Absolutely. Yeah. It's told to you both back when it says get him some milk. I don't know what you're talking about, but whatever.
Yo, Hardcore's really spend that variable, man. Damn.
Crazy 10-7. You want to succeed in the NYPD? Claim the R word as an executive, or make a better Dame on Grower video. So he's saying claim racism or go put a channel out where you're in a bikini. Modern Samurai. Happy Monday, gents. Tactics. Keep your head in the game. Sanders blocked me on X after responding to his 1-point-mile run BS. Yeah, no, he's really standing up to his words. I'm expecting a few more tweets today Make sure you follow Eric Sanders on X so you could watch him talk through veiled tweets without identifying the people. Civil Servant 82 says, you guys are right on pension fund has a limit. That's why all pension advisors say to take the overage out and invest it. The abusers will ruin it. You know, Hardcore X again. A lot of money, brother. Very generous, too generous. He says, hold the line, never waver. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's it, people. You guys got anything before we get out of here?
No, I just want to seriously. I just want to say again. Sorry, Mom, but I just want to say I am super grateful to Hardcore, man. You really dipped into your pocket this past show, last one. Really super generous, man. We really appreciate it. That's very nice of you. Thank you.
We just got one from the Sleepy Joe just post one.
Did he?
I think he did.
Yeah,
it just showed up for me.
What is it? Could you read it?
Says, yeah, it says, great show as always, guys. Here's some MFF mobile fuel first. OT cash putting in 28 for my run-induced trauma. Yeah, guys. I don't have anything else to say. Just thank you for joining us today, and have a great day. And you rookies out there, dress warm, okay? And think tactics, okay? So
I think I'm gonna walk a mile and a half today. I just want to clock it just to see. I think I'm gonna do it today. I'm gonna clock it. Maybe I'll tweet it out. See what my time is by walking it.
You guys are racist. I don't know.
David B says my ankle's 3/4 healed by now. God,
Totally sick. What else, peoples? That's it. That's all we got. I wanted one thing. I just wanted to end. I wanted to show that video, but I don't know where the hell it is.
why don't you show? You're gonna show that interview with ESU Tariq and Ankle Shell?
Yeah, but I
Instead of
I'm a
Uncle
little-
Shell, it's gonna be Ankle Shell.
I'm having a little problem locating it right now for some reason. You know, X is like weird. I got it. X is weird for some reason on the computer. It's like I'm just better at it on my phone. I don't know what it is. All right. Let's see.
I think I learned a lot from that interview. By the way, those two were very informative. I learned that they had those two were completely absent while they were working. They just have no idea what happened.
No, I put I sent the lady, I sent her the narration of Tom Donlan's lawsuit. I said, Catherine, more NYPD cops retired early, resigned from the NYPD under those two incompetent, egotistical, those two incompetent egotisticals' reign of terror than at any point in New York City history. Read former NYPD Commissioner Tom Donlan's lawsuit that they are both named in. They shouldn't talk about anyone. You can listen to the narration here.
You got it. We're gonna play this thing. This is great.
Ah, shit. No, it's not coming out. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Too bad Tariq Shepard didn't have his ESU helmet for this interview. He should have. Where was it? I just came from Columbia University.
Yeah, I can't believe people are giving that buffoon a platform. You know, you got I mean, after all the stuff that he'd been through, and with his 22 collars, you know, geez, like this guy's an expert on policing now.
Oh yeah,
really?
Well, it takes 9 collars to become a mayor. So 22, you can be an expert.
Yeah.
So yeah, listen to this. This one's hysterical. All right, are you gonna work now?
Hey, John, maybe from doing production or for the Finest Unfiltered, you could get another pension too. Maybe you could.
Yeah. I don't know what's up with this shit, guys. This shit ain't working today. I don't know. Nothing I'm sending, it's working. Maybe it's my connection. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's not coming to my computer. All right, let's.
I gotta read this. Special Hagen says you guys aren't going to stay home and make children, as per the advice of Eric Adams. That was hilarious, by the way. He said when it's snowing out, it's baby making day.
He's the soundbite mayor, dude. You know, I mean, I think we all said that. Like the guy's a character. You know, he's definitely a soundbite mayor. Yeah. Whatever
gotta
reason,
admit,
these things ain't going through today. I don't know what it is. I don't even know
I'm
how
gonna
I got
miss him a
Ron's
little bit.
photo up there.
Yeah, it does look like John is in Central Booking, KB.
Yeah. Wi-Fi is bad here. That's it. That's it. All right. Screw it.
You know what's funny, John? John and I spoke last night. I'm like, all right, we'll talk about what we're gonna do for tomorrow. And I'm like, all right, let's not do 3 hours. Yeah, we didn't do 3 hours. We did 3 hours in 13 minutes.
Oh shit, it worked. I got it. It only took an hour.
Yeah, there you go.
So, but it's hysterical that they try to like shit, this is the whole thing. I don't want this. No, I don't want this.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I got it. But it is hysterical, dude. On mute.
Yeah, you know that these guys are definitely being propped up. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Did they get a chance to plug their awesome website?
Well, yeah, the Harlem Ridge Advisors. Check that thing out. It's great. It's unbelievable. But like, so Shell like retired because he wanted to be the voice for the cops. Listen to what he says here. It's hysterical. He wanted to work for the rank and file. Once he destroyed. All right, here we go. You guys ready? Let's end on that. You guys got anything before we get out of here?
No, I had enough of this racist comments here.
All right. All right. That's it. Let's get, guys, you shouldn't be watching this platform. It's openly racist and it spreads misinformation. And all you got to do is look at the law that doesn't apply to anything that we've been talking about. And you should know right there. It'll prove all the things that we were saying are wrong.
Yeah, and our math is off.
Yeah. All right. Find us Unfiltered, baby. We'll be back at you Wednesday. Sal will be on tomorrow, 13:05.
Not what Eric said.
Not what Eric said.
When it was clear in the fall that Zohran Mamdani was going to become the next mayor of New York City, you both decided to retire. John, why did you retire?
Well, part of it was that under Mayor Eric Adams, a person who trusted me and let me run this department operationally, there was no way that the incoming mayor was going to allow me to do that. And even though I left prior to the election, the writing was on the wall. And that's part of the reason why I left. It was the right time, the right place. But now as I move forward in 2026, I could still help the rank and file with who I am and some of the things I want to talk about. But that was a main reason why I left.
Were you getting indicators that the next mayor would fire you?
Well, no indicators, but my approach to policing, my approach to what Tariq said about the lock on the cops, the mentality, did not align with what I was hearing from his camp. So there was no way my mentality would work with his mentality. So that did play a part in it.
Tariq, you also made a decision to retire once the new mayor was elected. Why?
Yeah, I left a little bit before that, but I think also, again, the writing was on the wall. You saw the direction in which it was going. And I think that the mayor-elect, we'll see if he was just over-promising to get elected or if he really believes in these fundamental principles that he's been putting forward to the community of New York City. And if that's the case, I'm definitely not in alignment with that. I thought it was alarming to me, and it was time to start thinking about myself a little bit more. And I knew that the way I care about the city, the way I care about the men and women of the police department, it was time for me to be in a neutral standpoint where I can talk about and educate people on what's going to go on in New York City.
When it was
There's a handful of retired officers that don't live in the state that have a lot to say about the dream team, as I like to call it. All of a sudden, they retire and have a master plan on how to fight crime, but nothing to contribute when they were here. They want to come back and be part of the dream team. What can I say?